What's up, y'all? You know what time it is? It's about to be that time.
You know what time it is, people. It's about to be that time. Welcome to another Theory for Theory. We're here with some peak nonfiction for you guys. All right. I'm joined by the coach of the community, King Recon. I am I'm excited to do this, man. We've been trying to get this going for a little bit now.
Facts.
And highly requested guest for the channel, but also, you know, definitely wanted that for myself here as well. And we got people dropping the Jordan 3-peats in the chat for you.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, I had to add that for you.
It's crazy how much like sports influences in both of our channels. I think that's a great thing that we both have for the One Piece stuff. Nah, man, but first and foremost, dude, I appreciate you for not only making time for this, because I know it's a different time than usual, so I appreciate you for that. But second of all, man, yo, I have been looking forward to this from the moment that I heard about your channel. And I got introduced to you, and then obviously we've had a lot of interactions within reveries and collaborations up to this point, but never a true one-on-one. So I'm looking forward to this. Thank you for having me. Let's talk about some peak, man.
Oh yeah, man. Excited. Oh yeah, man. So for anybody in the chat that doesn't know the coach, he's been running plays a long time. So why don't you just give the people the origin story for a second, and you know I'll sit and listen myself.
Okay, so just for the channel, for One Piece, for everything.
Yeah, man.
I got
Where'd you start? How'd you get your channel together? When did you get current? When did you get weekly? That's the spice.
Yeah, that's okay. So
it's about to get spicy.
It all started with like Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball, obviously back in the Toonami days, and even whenever I was in school, one of my favorite things to do was to go and talk about, I don't care what it is, like a wrestling thing from the previous night, Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, all these things, right? But whenever I got into Naruto, it really started changing, where I started like exploring this stuff online. And Japanese media really became like a part of me at that point, right? So like discovering Bleach, discovering all these things, going on the forums, right, and discovering like Naruto Central, the old Dragon Ball forum, which I don't even think it exists anymore. But discovering all those different things was my first time that I could like express myself to other people about this stuff that I really loved. But when I got into One Piece, it was completely different, because even though I appreciated all of those experiences, One Piece was the one that I couldn't like withhold within myself, right? And especially since all of my friends were into all this stuff that I just said, like to the wrestling stuff, into Final Fantasy, into Naruto, into Bleach. Everybody where I live is into that stuff. But no one was into One Piece. No one except for one person that was in my English class when I was in high school. And she was my first quote-unquote viewer for what would become the King Recon channel, because every single day I would come into class and update her. I'd be like, "Yo, I just finished Arlong Park. I'm loving it. This is insane. This is crazy." Then Drum Island and Alabasta. So I didn't have anybody else to talk to. So like that was pretty much my first like YouTube stuff, was talking to this one person every single day at school and being like, "Yo, this is amazing. This is insane. Why is nobody else into this? I don't get it." And eventually, from at the end of Enies Lobby, I switched over from the anime to the manga, and then from like Thriller Bark all the way to I want to say it was the post Marineford stuff, because the first issue of Shonen Jump that I have after being caught up is the one that has chapter 594, which is The Message. But the first one that I actively found like within the community, like me wanting to go on and discuss this stuff with everybody else, is chapter 598, which was the time skip chapter that took place after that 5-week break. So those two stick out in my mind. But I do, because I was a Naruto and Bleach fan for such a long time. I remember, like, when Water 7 was going on, and I was really into Naruto at the time. I remember the One Piece community going crazy about that, but I didn't know what they were talking about, right? All this stuff was gibberish to me. Same thing whenever Marineford started, like, with you know what I'm saying? It was straight gibberish to me. Same thing with, like, Sabaody and Impel Down. People were going nuts, and I was like, man, what is going on over there in the One Piece community? And so eventually, whenever I got into it, I of course I understood, and I fell in love with the series, but it really was that, like, from end of Baratier until I caught up with the anime at the Anime's lobby, that experience was so special to me because it sort of like set everything. It not only said, of course, that I would eventually start doing YouTube and be here today talking with you, but also just with my career, because obviously when you're in high school, you don't know what you want to do. There's multiple different paths available for you. I had so many different passions and interests. But when I experienced Skypiea specifically, and then Water 7, I realized that there was something more to this. Like, I want to make someone else feel what One Piece is making me feel. And it was at that moment, especially whenever I saw the I Want to Live stuff, where I made the decision. I was like, you know what, man? I really want to tell stories, whether it be verbally, whether it be written form, and that's whenever stuff really started, coming up there in the noggin. And I've been on that journey for the past decade plus. But the YouTube side of things started with, I never had anything to record. I always watched King of Lightning. I always watched Sawyer 7 May. Sawyer was actually the first person I watched. He was the only person doing One Piece stuff in the chapter, Return to Sabaody stuff. So I found him then, and King of Lightning came around during Fisherman Island, and Jorishay and Zoro during Punk Hazard. So I've been following this stuff for a very long time, and I finally got the opportunity, whenever I had the equipment, to come aboard for the beginning of Dressrosa. The moment I got my first smartphone, I was like, dude, the first thing I'm doing is not doing this nor that. I'm gonna record a One Piece chapter review, because this stuff is crazy right now, man. Like, Dressrosa at the beginning, that was such a special time to be in the community, because in the post time skip stuff, obviously whenever Law showed up, we were all like, man, what is going on? Smoker coming back. It was like, oh snap, like all the favorites from pre time skip are starting to show their faces again. But when we got to Dressrosa, especially coming off of the 690 to 700 stretch, we were like, no, this is about to get insane. So starting off from 700, then with the Ace's Fruit reveal, and the fact that this tournament, as a big wrestling fan, I saw the G1 Climax references. I was like, dude, this is my arc. Like, I have to talk about this with someone. and I'm Hispanic. I was like, hold on, man, this is the perfect time to start, So when Dressrosa, I think my first, I have it there on the wall. It's chapter 710 was the first chapter review / reaction I did, and I got a copyright strike, of course. Why wouldn't it? and so I went on that journey for finally being able to come on and share my experiences over on YouTube, and not just written, on forums, stuff like that. I know we've talked about this before, but the Arlong Park forums and Manga Helpers and all those classic forums, I have so much love for them, because that really was the only way I could express myself, by seeing other people talk about One Piece, because nobody was really doing the visual thing back in the day. So I'll always appreciate them for that. But just in regards to the YouTube thing, I continued on the old channel until 2015, when my channel got Buster called, got sent to the bottom of Impel Down.
That happened
and
to
then,
me too in 0506.
Oh man, I feel so sorry for you, because 0506 they were much more lenient with that stuff, and the fact that you still got your channel taken down is horrible. Yeah. Horrible, especially in that time period. But it sucks, because you work so hard to build this thing up, but the love was there. So I was like, I can't stop doing this. I never want to stop doing this. Like, even if this channel gets taken, God forbid, but even if this channel gets taken down, come on, man. Especially in the final saga, it's like I can't stop. Even if I have to start all over again, I would do it in a heartbeat. But this channel started off after that. I believe we were in Zo at the time. It was starting off Zo, and then from then on, here we are, man. And I'll tell you what, the One Piece experience, it's changed for me, right? In terms of what I used to love about it and what I love about it now is sort of the same, but it's a little more in terms of the community aspect now, where Before, it really was, especially early on, like, I love this series for what it's able to provide for me from a creative standpoint. Like, Oda is like the representative of the fourth idea. You know, obviously, you're a writer yourself, so you know, like, we have to go through 6 different revisions to get through where Oda gets on a second revision. You know, and I have so much respect for somebody who's able to tell a cohesive story on a weekly basis, because it's hard, man. It is really, really hard. So that used to be my major inspiration, and I feel like that's changed in terms of, even though obviously the series still inspires me from a creative standpoint, now it's because of being a part of the YouTube community for so long, this weekly experience is unlike anything else, man. Like, it's the one driving force that I have, right? Because I can go on Netflix and experience peak fiction. Right now, on my PS5, I have Final Fantasy 16 on. I'm experiencing peak, right? But all of that stuff is something that's just me and the screen. The One Piece experience has expanded to where it's me and you. It's me and everybody that's watching this. It's a shared experience when stuff like Gear 5 happens, or chapter, you know, the ultimate chapter, or when Law cuts a mountain, Punk Hazard, Luffy uses Red Hawk for the first time, the Straw Hats get separated, Ace dies. All of these things are moments within the community that, even if for individuals who were not caught up at the time, you can look back on the forums or look back on YouTube, look back at the history and see how much people are going insane over these specific moments. We're living in those moments right now. Like during the final saga, in Wano, in Whole Cake, in Dressrosa, it's just been non-stop, and right now is like the epitome of that, where every single chapter is that one massive big Oda chapter we would get every couple of months. We're now getting that every single week, you know, and it's just crazy. So that's I think that pretty much summarizes the story there, but I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful that I started the channel when I did, because I can't imagine not having gone through this journey with the community, because we have had some incredible times. And especially, you know, experiencing these chapters by themselves would have been amazing. And the episodes by themselves would have been amazing. But experiencing them with the community, man, there's nothing else. There's nothing else like it.
And I think that that's the power of knowing your ending.
Right.
And, you know, it's been stressed a lot that Oda started the story knowing where he wanted to end. When I went to the Film Red premiere and the director was there, he said that he knew the ending. He knows the ending of One Piece. Like, he's that tight with Oda. It exists.
It exists.
It exists. And that's the North Star. Like, the way you're saying, like, yeah, he can put out this peak on a second draft or anything like that, it's because he can zig and zag in this story wherever the hell he wants.
Right.
Because he's always going north.
Exactly.
The compass is always poking in the same direction, which island he wants to stop at. And I love the shout out to Dressrosa, which is a peak arc. Got a whole shelf dedicated to it.
Oh, good man. See, you see the vision. You see the vision.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I also I love that you got weekly in that stretch of chapters right before the time skip.
Yeah.
Because I was actually revisiting those chapters pretty recently, and in the context of like everybody's like comparing like the chapters that we've been getting to, you know, 903 to 908 and all that, but
yeah,
realistically, like I went back to those chapters. I was like, no, you know what? This is like 988 to I mean 588 to like 596. Like it's all of that. The message, yell, like we're catching up with these people. We're building towards the end of something.
Right.
Like the same way that Oda was building towards setting up the time skip, tying up loose ends. Like we didn't really jump around the way that we're doing now, except for then.
Yeah.
Doflamingo in a meeting with, we still don't even know who that is. Was it Dripper Scarfino? Was it Guernica? Like who is that person? You know, like I was sitting there reading that chapter again. I'm like, we still don't know who this is, but Doflamingo called that guy his higher up. You know, it's like it's that kind of stuff. Seeing Smoker with Aokiji, seeing
Capone with that big behind thing behind him that we were all for years being like, what in the world is that?
Rouge on Raijin Island.
Yep.
Blackbeard and Bonnie, which, you know, like I went to that and I was like, oh, you know what, that's actually, that, you know, that's a fun thing as well, because now we're gonna have the Blackbeard Pirates on Egghead and Bonnie is there, so we'll be able to have some sort of a dialogue about what happened 2 years ago when Akainu showed up as well. Like, even if it's just a throwaway line. There's some excellent stuff there, but I want to see nothing but W's or the Jordans in the chat right now for Recon, because he was cooking his origin story. He was cooking there.
I appreciate that, man. No, like I told you before, I have nothing but appreciation to you for the Kaizoku fan sub stuff, because that is my One Piece, right? Like people say, you know, they have their like preferred translations nowadays. My One Piece was seeing Gomu Gomu no when it turned green, and then when it went into Gear Second, it turned red. Like the Kaizoku fan subs, catching up through that stuff was peak, man. I loved it.
One of my most you know, some of my favorite memories were like, now I wasn't at the head of Kaizoku fan subs. You know, like I was just a part of the machine. You know, it's like we would all get the episodes. We would go through them line by line, edit them, kind of figure out. So it's like, you know, okay, you know what, this person's this dialogue's a little too literal, a little too stiff, you know, or you know, Sanji's dialogue here, let's throw, you know, he's actually cursing here, so, you know, let's make sure we're putting that curse word in there because Sanji's got a foul mouth. Like, it was about like, we're not changing the translation, but let's put it, if we're gonna put it in English, let's make sure that we're giving the character some character, because they do have character in the Japanese version. Like, everybody is, they have their own style of speaking. Let's bring that out, and that's the most enjoyable thing. And that's actually, it's kind of hard watching, like, you know, sometimes, like, if I just turn it on one of these streaming services and just watch the literal translation from the official, no offense, you know, like, support the official and everything, but a lot of the times it's very stiff. But the karaoke and everything that we would do for the effects and choosing fonts, like, I would actually I would be on to font, or, you know, whatever the site was back then, and I'd be like, I'd be submitting them. I'd be like, hey, how about we use this for Bellamy? Like, let's use this when Wiper's doing reject. Let's you know, for Bon Clay, how about this? You know, and a lot of my picks actually became the fonts in the version.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You have a piece in history, because I'll tell you, there's so many people that I know after I caught up, that I got into the series. So many of them caught up through that version of One Piece. So that's a piece of their history right there, man.
Yeah. Let me hit some of these supers that came in for you. Yeah, look at all those. Look at all those emojis, man. Retro Bat said, this one we'll definitely get into after I get through everything. Is actually I'll do that one last, because it's actually like trying to get into some theories where everything else seems like more general. Barry Motivated said, welcome Recon. We're happy to have you here on the Savage ship.
Absolutely.
She said, even though I'm Savage. She said, even though I'm a Spurs girl.
Gotcha.
Ronnie Williams said, can you feel the Savage energy, bruh? Like,
shout out to Ronnie.
You know, let's see. You know, like the stream, I have spoken. Shout out to the Nakama. My guy Ronnie dropped 10 memberships.
You loyal.
Shout out to Ronnie.
Killer Comedy TV came through with the 10 memberships, making sure that everybody's got the emojis.
That's right.
That means we're 30 away from another emoji. Or less than 30 away.
Nice.
And then, let's see. Demi LP said, "No, why you're my guy, King Recon. You're a huge Nami supporter. Thank you for that."
Oh, absolutely. Always and forever. Always and forever.
How can you not be?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
My guy Diz of the Ghost, member for 24 months, said, got the MJ jersey on today. First for Coach.
Love to see it.
the most positively infectious voice in the community, and second to 2 years of savagery. Yep.
Hey,
Shout out to my crew.
love to
Glad I
see
get
it.
to experience the series with y'all. Ronnie came through with
Absolutely.
another 5. Appreciate you,
Shout out to
brother.
Ronnie.
Appreciate you. That's lavish bracket activity. I love that. Thank you. Thanks so much, guys. And then Retrobat said, what do y'all think about the idea of Emu being an amalgamation of all of the kings and queens, so the original 20 kingdoms minus Lily? So like a fusion?
I've seen that theory before as well. It's crazy. It's crazy, but like I
like
wouldn't.
a chimera or something,
Right.
with all of them?
Right.
Is that what we're getting into?
Because I know when that panel dropped, at least whenever I read it, when we were talking about it on the stream, the big, whenever he turns into the massive little like ball, like a humongous ball that like absorbs Sabo's attack. When I looked at that, I was like, wait a minute, that actually looks huge, like massive in terms of scale. So if we're, I mean, Emu could be so many different things. When you refer to yourself in third person in fiction, there's some room for some for some really fun stuff there, especially like I said, as a wrestling fan, as a rock guy. So like that there's some room to play around there, like multiple different people inhabiting that body. I think that would be very interesting. But it's just, could you imagine, like, let's just say Randy, that's a factual statement, and we have the king of the world who is an amalgamation of several kings and queens from the ancient kingdom. What would that even be? That's insane.
It sounds like that would be a monstrosity, first and foremost. You
Absolutely.
know, Nina level, and
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. I mean, One Piece gets dark, but I don't know are we going there?
Right. That's pretty dark. That's pretty dark.
We going there?
Good.
But you know, the interesting thing with that too is, and I plan to eventually get into this a little bit in a theory at some point, is that, you know, there's a lot of like just biblical nature that's going on in the story right now. Like
100%.
I mean like Oda, you want to talk about amalgamations, like, I mean, every mythology, every religion, everything like packed
Yes.
into one. But
Yes.
you know, specifically, you know, especially with the introduction of like the literal seraphim that are
Right.
angels in the Bible and all of that.
Yep.
There are classifications of angels, and you know, there
Yep.
are higher tiers to that. And
loyal.
the thing about angels is that they're not always, you know, the cherubs that you see, you know, kind of like little
Right.
babies flying around. Most of the time, they're considered like feared. You know, when they
Creatures.
appear, they say things like, "Do not fear me," you know.
Right.
But they have multiple wings, you know, more than 2, and multiple faces.
Right.
Is what I want to get at. And it's like, are we dealing with that? You know, like, there is, no matter what, the creation story will be, I feel, a part of the just the beginning of all of this in the Void history. Like, it's somewhere along the lines, we're gonna see a literal snake, you know,
100%.
like
I
you know,
agree.
just teasing with the devil fruit tree.
Yep.
And you know, whether that snake is, you know, maybe Oda flips it on its head because he doesn't always do it exactly the way it is. Maybe the snake is the good guy in the story rather than the bad guy tempting, you know. And that's the kind of thing. But it's like, was Joy Boy the snake? Was Emu the snake?
Exactly.
In this situation, did they eat a fruit that turned them into a human? Things like, but more than that, are they just some sort of higher being that we're going to get into? And it's like, I was talking about this with Parvision. The more and more we get into this story and the end game of it, like, a lot of the mythologies and the religious aspects and anything that Oda is trying to put into the story is going to just kind of like have people reading and going like, what am I reading? What is going on? And it's like, you're almost going to need a YouTube video to explain a lot of it. And
100%.
it's never going to be exactly like 1-to-1 of what it is, but it's like, okay, there's a piece of this, there's a piece of that, piece of that, boom, best story in the world, peak.
That's right. That's right. Literally. And I'm so glad that you said that, because so many times I was talking to Kev about this the other day. Kev, shout out to Kev DOG, about the fact that like One Piece is structured like a JRPG, right? And a lot of those JRPGs, they take so many different things from either philosophy or from religion, but it's only bits and pieces, and it sort of forces people to go out and research on these things to really find out what exactly the creators are trying to say here in its entirety. And so I'm so glad you said that, because from the very beginning, when I started One Piece, I was like, this is more Final Fantasy for me. I love this. Like, this is a Final Fantasy with like Dragon Ball. This is amazing.
I mean, it's like, I don't know if Oda is going to go this route. You know, most people probably would say, I hope not. You know, but it's like, we see things like, you know, a lot of people talk about like game-breaking things in the story, but it's like, few people really look at the fact that in chapter 233, this dude pulls up to a meeting at Marijoa holding a literal Bible. Yeah. Like, from our world. Like, is Oda saying this is our world? And then, like, you know, or something.
Exactly.
Like, what is going on? And then even just recently, we see the book of, like, the Devil Fruit book says Genesis on it.
Genesis, yeah.
And it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, on what you were talking about in terms of it being our world, when the Roger chapter dropped, he laughed, and we were thinking about certain things. That didn't, like, I couldn't get that out of my head. And when the Yamato section of chapter 1000/999 came out, where Yamato was like, I'm not gonna laugh at Luffy for his dream, it made me start thinking, like, wait a minute. And this is before, of course, obviously the Egghead stuff, but I was like, wait a minute. If Roger laughed at something that was way beyond even him, like, this is the individual in the verse that is saying, like, anything is possible. Everything that within my scope is possible in reality, right? But even he was like, hold on, man, this is hilarious, like, this is crazy. And when I started thinking about that, I was like, all right, so Joy Boy in the Void Century must have been like, yo, there's flying cars, there's all these different things you can't fathom, right? You're like, flying cars, these huge mechanical soldiers. He's like, what are you talking about, Joy Boy? Is this guy high? Is he good? What's going on? And so when we got to Egghead and we saw the Gundam, I was like, hold on, man. Is that actually like what took place where Roger was hearing Joy Boy's story and Joy Boy was describing all these things he can't even comprehend? Like, yeah, man, we're using air conditioning, we're driving a Ferrari, we're doing all these different things. But it's like after Egghead, that's the type of stuff is becoming more and more prevalent. Like, just imagine, right? I know we're talking about the whole punk records thing and the connection to the internet. Imagine Joy Boy, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, he's like, yeah, man, you know, I was texting someone else the other day. He's like, texting? What is this man talking about, right? Like, he's using our terminology, and I find that stuff about One Piece to be interesting. Whenever he does take these things that are within our world, of course, One Pieceifying, but whenever he doesn't One Pieceify, and it's just that, like you said, like having the Book of Genesis there, having the Bible there, it's like, all right, Oda, what are you doing here? Are you trying to tell us this is the One Piece world, or exactly?
You know,
exactly.
It's like, is it all one meta thing about like, hey, technology ruined our world? You know, because it's other things too. Like, you know, we got Pangea Castle, but it's like also
right
at one point, all land on Earth was Pangea. Like, it was all together, and then it was split apart.
Or it's the continent polar and stuff of that nature. It's like,
man, there's so much to get into, but it's like another thing too. And I think that, you know, this is, you know, one of the big truths of it all, going back to the fact that Oda knows the ending. Oda wanted the story to end in 5 years. Like, that was his initial thought. Now, he zigged and zagged and whatever, but he stayed true north. The point is that I think that within the first 5 years of the story or so, all of the pieces that you really need to comprehend and understand what the ends of the story is going to be is there. And I feel like we're
100%.
seeing that now because all of these characters from back then are finally becoming relevant again.
Right.
Mihawk, Crocodile, Vivi, like Alabasta in particular is, you know, just like it's the arc where we learned about the ancient weapons. It's the arc that we learned about the Void history. It's the arc that we actually learned about Vegapunk. Because Lasso, they said this is this is new technology from the essentially the new world, the Grand Line, and anything. And it's just we don't get it expanded upon until Enies Lobby when we we find out that Vegapunk even exists. But that was the clue that like there's like some technical aspects of all of this if we really want to loop it back around. Learn about the poneglyphs, like Alabasta is key.
Yeah,
it's key.
And Jaya. Jaya introduces, the Gorosei, brings Kuma into the picture, Dofi into the picture, Blackbeard.
Blackbeard is the biggest thing because it's just that's the we go from this arc that shows us all of this, but where did we actually begin? Right before that, we were introduced to the idea of Blackbeard. We meet him right after. And it's like he is going to be key into all of this as well. So it's just the way that comes back around. I think that some of the mythologies that are going to be most important to the end game of the story are Egyptian mythology.
Definitely. And for me, I think that's so cool. Going back to what you were saying earlier with like references to the Bible and stuff. Obviously, we know how deep that goes in regards to the within Egyptian mythology as well. And every single time that we finish one of these chapters, like 1083, 1084, 1085, that's one of those things about this community I love is after I finish a chapter, there's already like 30 comments ready letting me know like, hold on. This is this in Egyptian mythology. This is this in this mythology. I'm like, yo, this is crazy, man. How did y'all find this in like just a couple of days?
Yep.
It's insane. Like whenever I was shown the where the wild things are, the potential reference in I think it was 1085, my mind was blown. I had never thought about the Gorosei and Emu like that until I was shown that reference. I was like, no, that is so cool. That's just Oda taking inspiration from a multitude of different assets and things.
And that's the thing too, is like it's not just these like high concept things like mythology, it's pop culture too.
Right.
Which in itself, perhaps I didn't really dive too deep into where the wild things are, but I looked at it, I was like, oh yeah, Oda definitely, like he knows this book, he knows this story, he's pulling from that, but he's amalgamating it with other things, probably just as the original author of that did in some fashion as well.
Right.
So it's just taking one piece of Play-Doh and like stacking it on each other and just mushing it until it's just a bunch of different colors, man.
Yep. And in the way that only he can, which is always the coolest thing.
So let's see here. We hit some chats and then switch gears a little bit, and then we'll come back to all of this. Shout out to Ronnie. He dropped a link in the chat for people to check out. I'm not going to click on it just now because we're in the middle of the conversation, but appreciate you, man. Jabriel Hogan said, what are our predictions for 1087? He said, huge fan. We're definitely going to get into that. Terrible TJ, member for 3 months, said, can't stay, but like the stream. Listen to our friend, Terrible TJ. Like, comment, subscribe if you are feeling the vibe. Old Green Knees, spelled Vivi in multiple different ways, ending Vivi theories. I'm sure we're gonna hit all that. It's gonna naturally flow into things, and we'll get into those 1087 predictions. But first, I actually wanted to switch gears because one of the the biggest things in the community right now is this finally getting some footage for the live action.
Yes.
And
yes. I'm so glad to bring this up.
Yeah. And I gotta say, you know, like I streamed the teaser, and you know, I did the whole stream. We had Matt come on, and you know, we talked about different aspects of it for a bit. And I went and I was watching a bunch of different reactions, and I went and I watched yours. And now in my stream, I didn't get Misty watching the teaser, but I did watching your genuine reaction to it.
Oh man!
So if you guys didn't see Recon's reaction to the live action, that man, like there was a lot of love there. There's a lot of love there,
dude. No, I appreciate that, man. Because let me tell you, and not only has it been rent free for me ever since, but that like first initial viewing, because obviously we're all really excited. It was huge. I couldn't believe One Piece was at a big Netflix event like this. Like I was like, hold on, man. There's like 100,000 people watching right now. There's a bunch of people there in Brazil, and like so many of them are here exclusively for One Piece. I was like, this is insane. So all of that, I had butterflies in my stomach. I couldn't be more excited for it. Obviously, we've been heavily anticipating it ever since we had the opportunity to talk to Matt Owens, and he presented the idea of like so many different things, getting us excited for it. I could not wait for anything in regards to live action. And so when we got this teaser and it was greater than I could have ever imagined it being, I was like, nah, man, this is beautiful. The dynamics between the characters, I still can't believe Buggy's design is nailed the way that it is. It's so cool.
To the point where people were pointing out that he's got pores on his nose, showing that that's his actual nose, not which is canon. It's not.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That is really, really cool. Like, yeah, it's stuff like that. It's stuff like Archer posted for like the some of the costumes that they have are based on certain color pages and stuff of that nature, where you can just tell the love is all over the place.
Yeah, Matt came on the channel and he gave that exclusive right here, and we went through and we started talking about it. And yeah. So any outfit that you see in the series, it's pulled from a color page, like and a color spread, a volume cover, something. Like, it is Oda approved. They're not making up their own costumes.
See, now once I finish this stream, I have to go back and watch that stream. I have to, because I that is super, super dope. Like, of course, whenever you see it in comparison, it's one thing, but having the individual behind it, telling you the thought process for it, now I gotta watch that. Now for sure, I'm looking forward to it.
I clipped it. I put video images from the trailer, and then what the corresponding color pages. So check that out.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it was a good talk. It was a good talk.
Yeah.
And then
but it was great.
The other thing that got me, you know, that got me was I watched your other video, because you did 2 videos on it. Yeah. And and you know, because you know, responded on Twitter too, the cast reacting to the teaser. That was that was the like I said in my tweet, that was the best thing to come out of this whole promotional tour. If you guys have not seen the cast reacting to the teaser, I mean, it's like it's a minute something long video. That's it. Like, yeah, it's worth watching. It's worth watching.
It is like we said before, if we weren't already sold on the cast or on the live action, please go watch that reaction to the teaser. Like, you can just tell how much love they have, not only for the series, but for each other in that teaser, like, or in the reaction. It had me teary-eyed, man. I was like, yo, this is really, really beautiful. And I agree with you 100%. It definitely is the best thing they've done in this entire promotional campaign they're doing.
Cast chemistry is what is going to push this show to the stratosphere that it needs to hit. More than anything. More than whether or not the VFX looks, amazing here and there, whatever. It doesn't matter. The cast chemistry is gonna do wonders for all of us.
100%. 100%. It's going to be similar to the series itself, right? Where a lot of people, from what I've heard, they were really put off by the way One Piece looked in terms of Oda's art style. They'd never really seen an anime or a manga that looks like this. But what kept them for the journey was the dynamics between the characters, was the strong storytelling and stuff of that nature. So if we can give the same thing to live action, where it might look a little weird at first because we're translating something from manga and anime to live action, but if the character dynamics are still as strong, the storytelling is just as strong, once we get to those big moments like in Baratier, Arlong Park, and they hit the way that they did in the series, then we're in for something really, really special.
Yeah, if everybody gives it a chance to just get to Arlong Park, they'll be seated for season 2.
100%. 100%. and I think at this point, based on the fact that it already has all these millions of views across multiple platforms, I think there's going to be so many people watching in that first week that hopefully that means season 2 is going to be guaranteed.
Even just out of curiosity. But the thing is that, you know, it's so important, I think, for, you know, all of us to kind of stay on everybody that's watching to make sure that they get to Baratier, that they get to Arlong Park, because you know, you could have the greatest adaptation of, you know, Romance Dawn and Orange Town and Syrup Village and all of that, but the truth of the matter is that Oda had everything in a slow cooker at that time. He was cooking, but it was slow cooking. So
absolutely.
And then it's like you get to Baratier, you get to Arlong Park, and you're like, oh, okay, hold on,
he found his groove around there.
We got
it. Was like, yeah, this is
okay. We added some spice to this dish.
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah,
and that's the thing. Somebody may tune in, and just like when they're reading the manga and they're reading the anime, watching the anime, they may be like, I don't know, or maybe it's all great and we don't have to worry about it. But
exactly,
if there's a lot of things where people are like, you know what, I was digging it, but I don't know, I kind of stopped around episode 2, 3, whatever, like, you know, episode 1, whatever. We got to be there and be like, no. Get to 6, 7, 8. Get to 6, 7, 8. You're turning the movie off halfway through.
Right.
You're turning the movie off after 20 minutes. It's like, give it, let it cook. Let it cook. Oda is a master chef, and you need to eat the whole meal to get it.
Yes. Couldn't agree more. And I know I'm going to be pushing it onto a lot of people that I've already seen are interested at the very least in it now that weren't previously interested, because they just aren't into anime and manga. And so now I'm going to have this thing where even people who aren't into anime and manga but want to experience the story, I'm finally going to have this available for them to be able to do so. And it might even be to the point to where they enjoy it so much, this is their first anime, or this is their first manga, where they take the transition, because this can only work well for Oda and everyone working on this, right? In regards to, if the live action gets more people invested within the source material as well, then that's just going to be, it's going to do wonders for a potential boom once again for the series. Rather, we've had multiple throughout the years. After Alabasta, after Marineford was a huge one with Strong World and all that stuff that was going on at the time. Dressrosa was a big one. Wano was a big one. So it's almost around that time for another one of those booms, and the live action adaptation might be the one that gives us that. What better timing, right? Final Saga catch up. That'll be great for a lot of people. So hopefully.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, you know, I see Super in the chat said real One Piece fans will be there no matter what. Yes. I'm not worried about us being there. Like anybody in the chat right now, especially if they watch this channel, you know, we cultivate the positivity and sophisticated savagery here. We're gonna be there no matter what. We're gonna watch all 8 episodes. But it's everybody in the chat, all of our friends, our family members that you know that we're trying to you know, get them on the cruise, you know.
Exactly.
And it's That's the thing. It's, you know, they may say, all right, you know, I'll give it 3 episodes, and it's like, no. You can't stop at Syrup Village. You can't stop at Orange Town. You can't.
Right.
You if you're gonna do this journey, it's all
gotta see it through to the end. Yeah, it's all or nothing. That's right. And honestly, on that same line of thought, because I've seen this. I just want to get your thoughts on this, because I've seen this sort of, it's like I'm not going to say it's a dark cloud, but it's something that people are worried about in regards to how it's going to translate, right, from anime and manga over to live action. And my whole thing is this, right? The live action is obviously going to have to make some differences for that medium, right? Like for this medium of storytelling obviously cannot be done. There's certain things in anime and manga that cannot be done in live action. So they're going to take those creative liberties. There's probably going to be multiple things within the story that are going to be different, unique for the live action adaptation. And so I wanted to get your thoughts on that as a screenwriter, for that, right? Like what do you think they're going to do, or not necessarily what you think they're going to do, how do you think they're going to pull it off for changing certain things for the live action from just like fitting all of that into like 45-50 minute episodes? How do you think that's going to work out?
Well, I think, you know, one of the fun things, and I'm paraphrasing and echoing Matt to a point, you know, but, you know, he had said, I can't remember in which stream or, you know, but one of the important things here and one of the benefits of the live action is the fact, and I mean, I've spoken to this as well, is that we have 25, 26 years of material that Oda didn't have, that Toei didn't have at the beginning of everything.
That's true.
So, you know, it's like people look at the teaser and Zoro is fighting somebody that has been, you know, rumored to be Mr. 7, which if that's the case, then that's like, that's a fun thing. If that is truly the case, then that means that they're taking they're going forward, and they're looking at things like Mr. 1 saying to Zoro, like, oh, you killed Mr. 7.
Right.
But then showing it. So it's like there's so many things in the story that you can do that with, whether that's, you know, the truth or not. I'm expecting to see things like that, things that can be pulled, and here it is. We know more about Shanks and Buggy than we did back then. You know, if they're showing anything like that, like there's elements to all of that. And you can see that Garp is in the teaser. Garp's ship is there. Yeah. So it's like already Garp is there from the beginning. Which I mean, that doesn't change anything for me.
Yep.
Because he was there in the covers, the cover pages.
The cover stories. Yep.
Right.
Great point.
Oda, you know, put a hat on him and tried to hide the fact that he was the, you know, Luffy's grandfather or anything like that. But it doesn't change anything for me if he's in the story and we know that he's Garp. Like if it gets introduced to us in that way, whatever. Like that's using what we know.
Yes.
And, you know, just bringing it out, fleshing it out.
Yes.
Making the world feel bigger from the start, because that's another way that it could be doing it as well. Because it's like the world expands the more you read and watch. It starts very insular and, you know, in just East Blue, but then the further you go, and like it really explodes after Alabasta. You know, in the beginning of Jaya, it's like then we see Marijo, we see the other warlords, we see everything, and it just continues to kind of expand. But it's like if the live action is trying to kind of give you a taste of that from the beginning, then that's just a way to hook people even sooner if that's the case.
100%. And now that you bring that up, because obviously Logetown was the first major one for that, right? Where we saw a lot of returning characters for the first time, characters that we expected to see later on down the line. But we didn't know, like we talked about with Garp, you know, we didn't know who Dragon was for a really long time. So I wonder when with context now, because of course, like you said, Toei didn't have the context. I wonder with context what they're going to give for characters like that, right? Like with Dragon, with Buggy, with characters that are going to be returning in Logtown, and like you said, potentially now that we have Garp within the trailer and we cook around the world there in the Logtown section, we real deal could start setting up a lot of stuff for the future in the live action that we were not initially anticipating. So that got me more excited, even more than I already am. Not that you bring that up, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's some exciting stuff.
And like Matt has said a bunch of times, is look out for the Easter eggs. So it's, I mean, that's fun. That's fun for us. That's fun. You know, it's like you know, we got the story is, you know, everything that they're doing is for us, but it's also for new people, and it should be for new people. Any good adaptation, I say this a lot, it should be really directed at the people that those same people that are like, you know what, the animation's a little wonky. I actually don't understand how to read backwards. You know, I like the reading from this side to this side. Like, I don't know, it hurts my eyes. I don't know. And it's like, maybe they have those concerns some people could laugh at, but they're legitimate. That's just, that's them. But they'll watch a Netflix show, and then they'll get Peak. They'll get Help Me. They'll get When Does a Man Die? You know, they'll get like the things that these life-changing moments potentially, you know, depending on and someone is in their life.
Right. And we've seen that, like with The Witcher, with Game of Thrones, where these things, like obviously for The Witcher, that has a way bigger fan base on Netflix than it does for the video games. But because of that, a lot of people played the video games. With A Song of Ice and Fire, and because of Game of Thrones on HBO, a lot of individuals started reading the books. And so, like we talked about earlier, with One Piece, the live action, you could either stay live action only and go through that experience, which is probably going to be extremely incredible, or you could join us on the cruise of the anime and the manga. You know, so
there will be people that'll catch up. There will be people that will be live action only. I mean, there are plenty. I know. Like, I watched all the Game of Thrones. I didn't read the books though, but I watched it. You know, and it's you know, it's more so I don't really have the time to kind of go through and read all of this. And but hey, you know, I went and I read up on stuff to see what the differences are, to kind of understand things like that. Like, you know, if you're really invested in something, you're going to do that as well.
100%.
Walking Dead, I watched some of it. I never went to the comics. Eventually, I dropped it, but. You know, it's like there's multiple different ways to experience it, and that's what it is. It's like, it's basically acknowledging that this story is worthy enough of being consumed by a mass audience rather than our niche. And
great point.
We cannot gatekeep it as fans and say, no, this is mine.
Yeah.
This is mine. Like, if you don't want to read the manga and the anime, then you don't deserve my story. And there are people out there that feel that way. And it's like, you know, this goes back to the thing that you were talking about in your origin story as well, because it also echoes mine in the sense of, I didn't have anybody to talk to about this stuff in the early 2000s either. Everybody was still on the Dragon Ball train. They were, you know, and it was also, if you know, more people like Naruto back in America. And it was like, and it really was like, you either liked Naruto or you liked One Piece. And it was like, and those it did not blend. Like, there were very few people that were watching both, because it was like, this is my team.
Right.
You know?
It's still like that to this day. It's still like that to this day.
I know, but I feel like by this point, a lot of people have kind of blended that, because Naruto ended, and then they needed something else to kind of go to.
Right.
I still, to this day, have not watched or read Naruto.
Oh really? Oh,
I'm not. Because it's my team, but I'm trying to make a point. I'm actually contradicting myself at the same time. But the point is, like, any one of us could be like, hey, I love this story so much. I don't have people to talk to about it in real life. Nobody really wants to get into it. This has been my thing for so long. I don't want other people to have it. I don't want to walk into a Hot Topic or a box lunch or something and see all this stuff about One Piece because this is supposed to be just my thing that I have. And it's like, no, that's the complete wrong idea.
It is.
If you don't want to be on the live action cruise, then that's fine. But don't sit there and hate the people that are ready to jump on or ready for the people that will jump on.
Exactly.
I do want to walk into those stores. I do want to see more merch. I do want to see this become a global phenomenon that it already is, but now to a higher degree. And I do hope that this is something that can fix what 4Kids did in America.
Yes, please. And because still to this day, being a part of the gaming community. So, all right, see y'all later. Still a part of the gaming community to this day. Like I remember when Jump Force first released, and I saw people see Luffy for the first time and since the 4Kids days. And I saw a lot of comments in that reveal trailer because I watched a lot of reactions for it. And a bunch of people were like, oh, Naruto, that's my guy. Ichigo, that's my boy. Luffy, oh, that was that one pirate kid from 4Kids in that trash show, right? You know, and all that stuff, right? So it's like all of these different reactions were like Luffy this, Luffy that, Luffy this, Luffy that, and it was all based on 4Kids opinions. So I was like, man, hopefully one of these days, first and foremost, one of those individuals can sit down and watch the actual series. But if not, maybe this live action version will be what opens their eyes, like you said, to people like that potentially saw the 4Kids version back in 2005 and was like, oh, this isn't for me. And they wrote it off there that the rest of the series was like that, the actual series was like that. Or and they still think about that to this day. So I hope that individuals, like you said, with the live action, it will overwrite that part of history, even though it's going to be hard to completely overwrite it because obviously some people are going to stay on that. But as long as at least one person has that overridden, for me, I think that's a job well done.
That's a win right there. And I saw somebody in the chat say that their Hot Topic is already full of One Piece stuff for years now. Now look, I've gone into these stores, I've seen them. It's like you have this giant Naruto or Chainsaw Man or Demon Slayer. I've actually seen a lot of Hunter x Hunter stuff, Hunter x Hunter stuff recently, which is surprising. But whenever I go into a place, it's like one little tiny shelf and maybe like 4 shirts for One Piece. Like that's it. It's like you have this gigantic like wall of Demon Slayer, and then you just have this little pocket. Like I want the giant wall of One Piece.
Right.
That's what I want to see. I want to see that.
Me too. Me too. and it's crazy because, like you said, I never would have imagined back in the mid 2000s seeing stuff. Because the closest thing we got was just seeing like Luffy and a Shonen Jump cover, the old monthly Shonen Jump covers that they would sell like at Walmart. That'd be the only Luffy I would see. Or do you remember the whenever they did the catch up in like late 2009, and they just had a whole bunch of volumes at Walmart, Alabasta, Skypea, all those, because they were just dishing them out so frequently. I never would have imagined seeing a Luffy shirt at Walmart, which I did see the other day, or a Zoro memorabilia in like a random clothing store, and seeing that now. That's a very letting us know that we're here, but we want the live action adaptation to take us here. Like you said, we want the wall. We want the full wall. It's insane.
Let's see here. Barry Motivated Super Chatted said, the teaser drop was truly a moment in time. The Savage Dungeons and Dragons crew dropped everything mid-session for it, and we were all crying about it on a Discord call together. Truly a memory I'll cherish forever.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
The community coming together. Shout out to the Savage crew. To Sites 318, appreciate you rejoining, member for 19 months. Yeah, you know, and it's I'm loving the positivity. You know, there are some negative voices in the community as well, but you know what, I feel like the positivity is drowning them out. And
agreed.
There are just I think that there's a lot of practical things that some people may not realize need to be done. You know, I think everybody's just like, why did we only get 50 seconds or, you know, of footage, or, you know, why did we, you know, what is going on here? And it's like, there's August 31st is around the corner, and there probably will be another trailer, which will be longer.
Yeah.
I said it before, there's 400 or 500 minutes of footage. We got less than a minute of that. Most of that teaser was the logo. But we saw something. It was a tease. It was a taste. So we're going to eventually see these villains. We're going to see these moments. I saw in your video, you brought up that article that I haven't actually talked about on stream yet, but I did check it out. And in that, Emily said that Oda was like watched it, and he got Misty at a part late in the season.
Right.
So, I mean, what gets people misty like towards, you know, the end of East Blue? Like, we're talking about some. This is Arlong Park territory here.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been saying since the beginning, the thing that needs to hit the most, the moment that I'm looking forward to the most, is Help Me. So
same here.
If that is what is being referred to in that particular interview, then we're eating, we're winning.
Yes.
Let's see. One thing that I didn't get to talk much about, but I saw a lot of comments on Twitter and things like that were just like,
savage.
Why is Emily Red wearing a wig? And you know, she should use her natural hair, things like this. Like, they were filming for months. And you know, just coming from like experience, when you are doing something like that and you have like a very particular hair color or hairstyle or something like that, like, yeah, you're gonna have a wig. It doesn't matter if her hair is perfect for it or not, because the continuity needs to stay.
Right.
Her hair is gonna. They might shoot something from Syrup Village, and then go back to Syrup Village 2 months later, and it's like the hair is going to be different. It doesn't matter whether you cut it, but all of this stuff, and a lot of that stuff is very noticeable when you do reshoots or things like that, or you film out of order, which is very true of anything. But also, constantly coloring one's hair damages someone's hair.
That's a good point.
So, now you could, I mean, everybody's free to critique wigs and things like that, you know. But the other thing too is, hey, they get season 2, they have a bigger budget, maybe they make, you know, more wigs. But the other thing too is like, the other promotional images that come out, her hair looked great. Like, the wig looks good. Like, the shot of her like holding onto the mast, and
that's a great shot.
It's a great shot. The hair looks great there. So possibly there's multiple wigs, you know, maybe one was better than the other. I don't know, but I wouldn't, like, you know, just anybody that's stressing about that, like, it's all about continuity. Like, I guarantee you Makenyu has a wig as well. He's not dyeing his hair. You know, maybe they are dyeing their hair, but they still have a wig on top of it so that the roots aren't showing, because that's a possibility, you know, as well. But
good point.
It's just the way these things go. It's the way these things go.
Yeah, like you said, I can't even imagine how many potential reshoots must have happened for certain scenes or things, and that makes a good point, where your hair is not going to be the same 6 months from now. Whenever you go into post-production, you're like, oh my god, we missed this. Go back. Right. We gotta go back, right? So that if you have a wig in that scenario, it helps lessen that pressure. Where you go, okay, we can go back and refilm this if needed.
Yeah, Barry said people don't understand how filmmaking works, and it shows. Yeah, it's like I see a lot of the stuff that is being thrown around, and I'm just like, there's an obvious answer to this to me, but it's hard to explain everything. I mean, I don't know who said it, but they were just like, people are just expecting to see the anime on the screen.
Yeah.
DMLP said the Netflix series could inspire new and more manga sales, maybe beating Superman.
Definitely.
Imagine if that happens. I mean, we're on the precipice of that happening anyway. We already beat Batman.
We're almost there. We're almost there. I guarantee you, if we stay on this track and Oda continues to cook the way he is, we are going to surpass Superman soon. Like very, very soon.
Yep. I'm gonna take a quick break, and then I want to get into unless there's anything else you want to talk about with live action. Let's dive into like where we think the story's gonna go, 1087 and beyond.
Okay, sounds good.
So I'll be right back. Talk to the chat for a moment, and I'll be right back.
Alrighty. Let me see. All right, chat. Hold on. I just realized that I do not have the stream up. Hold on. We're gonna be professional about this, and the fact that I've had this up the whole time, ladies and gentlemen. Do not fret. We are here. Hold on. Let me pull up the chat. Come on. We are here. Yo, shout out to Big Poppy Parvision in the chat. Nothing but love. Ronnie, Terrible TJ, Rafi, Chin-Ho Wong. Shout out to the boys. Shout out to everyone here. Pat, what is good? We are in charge today, ladies and gentlemen. It's a recon stream. Yo, lazy mofos, my good brother, como estamos? How are we doing? Inu, what's good? Yeah, Sword Egg, whenever Randy comes back, we're going to be talking about 1087 predictions. Extremely excited about that. Very motivated. Once again, I absolutely love your profile picture because you already know what side of history we're on in that regard. Shout out to that Nami greatness. Let me see. Mark, I'm sure Randy's gonna get to that super whenever we get back, but trust me, same here. I've gone through that live action trailer so many times, and it never fails to put a huge smile on my face. Even just talking about it here with Randy, you just can't help but have a massive smile on your face. It's truly something incredible. Shout out to Kev. What's up, Kev? Yo. Well, part you already know. If I don't cut my facial hair, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, man. If I didn't cut my facial hair, I'd probably be like my boy Heihachi from Tekken. I'd probably just look really nice, have a nice gray beard growing out right here. I'd be one of those really, I mean, in a couple years, not right now, but in a couple years, I'd be like the really nice and OP old dude in anime, That's what I'd be. But Randy, somebody super chatted while we were gone.
Oh, my guy Mark Creasy.
Yes.
Said I've watched the live action trailers so many times, and each time it puts a genuine huge smile on my face. I mean, it does the same for me, and I can't wait to see more and to share in that with everybody else too. Yeah, man. It's I'm glad that you and I are able to have this collab now and talk about this like at this moment in time. Initially we had talked about getting together like right after the big Shanks chapter.
Oh yeah.
But King Recon was high in demand at that particular time.
dude, it was crazy because I think I talked to you, Par, and Cole all in like a span of like 6 hours from each other. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a weekend, man, a crazy weekend.
But it was. I have to bring it up now that we're on stream too. I mentioned it in Cole's stream, but I was like, bro, like the reaction you had to that Shanks moment, the falling of the camera, but the divine intervention of it landing in a position where you could still be seen in like the tiniest little sliver of something, like it doesn't even matter like if we were like filming that and wanted something like that, like it would take like 50 takes to get anywhere close to what happened in that moment. Like for chat, if you don't understand, like this man got so excited his camera fell, right? And he like walked away from his like setup just to kind of like take a moment and like jump up and down. But when the camera fell off of his table, instead of like looking at some like weird part of the room that isn't actually designed to be like the background or anything, it was just on him.
I don't know how it happened. And like I told you in the Cole stream, when I rewatched that back, because somebody posted the clip on Twitter, I was like, yo, how did this happen? This is insane.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
The camera divinely departed from your laptop there.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But no, that chapter, because once again, right? And you must have experienced this to a higher degree than me, because you've been with the series for longer than I have. But when you see Shanks use a named attack after all of these years of being a fan, it's like, yo, you can't hold that stuff in. You know, it's too exciting. It's too exciting.
Bro, he moved.
He moved. He did something deliberately, and it was incredible. Yeah.
Nah, man. I mean, I love that. I loved putting Kid in his place. The actions of Heat and Wire are still to this day some of the most trifling that I've ever seen in the entire series. That is a fail on a level not seen very often in this series, to just give up not only on your dreams, but to offer somebody else's dreams away as well. Like, please take these poneglyphs. They do not have the consciousness to do this, and they would never do this, but I'm going to answer for them and give this to you. And then their action was sufficiently greeted with the teabag that was Hakoko sovereignty. It's like, you guys aren't built for this. You aren't made for this. And that's all I ever wanted out of Kid going to Elbaf as well, because I had a stream with Cole where I was like there was no indication that Kid was going to Elbaf, but I was like, Kid's going to Elbaf. Like, it's because the story is pointing us there, and this dude needs to get out of the story, because he's not providing anything. Like, I haven't seen the new episode yet. I'll probably do a reaction to it at some point. But I don't care how great they make Kid look. It doesn't matter, because the text is there, and Oda didn't care enough. This character is a stepping stone, a platform for someone else, and that platform happened to be Shanks. So that's where we're at, man. I mean, like, this is a hard question to answer given everything that we've seen and how many different islands we've been to and all of that, but just this stretch, what are your general thoughts? What are your highlights? You know, where, like, just go off and cook, man, and then we'll talk about where we're going.
Dude, so as a fellow Vivi fan that I know that you are,
you're sophisticated.
Yeah, absolutely. So when 1073 dropped, right, and with Garcia Saturn, because seeing a Godose member's name for me was like, okay, we're in the end game now. It's over. Like we're finishing One Piece. The following week, we get Vivi again after all of this time of not seeing her. That's when I really knew we're in something really, really special. So from let's just say, man, this entire year is covered from I think it's Garp showing up. Garp showing up at the end of 1070 / we get into 1071 stuff up until where we are right now. This stretch is on a completely different level, man. You know, even back in the Egghead chapters, I felt this way, but ever since we've left Egghead, it's been literal dreams coming true for me as a One Piece fan. Like, Buggy getting his major character moment so far was one of the most satisfying things, man. Like, I not only did it have me emotional, but I was like, this is exactly what One Piece is about, is this scene that I'm seeing right now. Like, I couldn't believe it was happening. Kuzan, that one was special to me because of being in the community, right? Like, when chapter 720 came out, to see the roots of all of us. Actually, even before that, I think even back when like 698, 697 dropped, people were already like, oh man, who's on working with, you know, like what's going on there, and then a connection there in 720 with the conversation with Burgess and Blackbeard and Luffy. Then we were all like, okay, Kuzan's probably with them. And then I remember when the chapter dropped that Blackbeard invading Baltigo HQ, we were like, oh god, Kuzan time, and we didn't see it, obviously. Then we cut over to chapter 1064 and see him in the cover spread, and then finally seeing him in that 1080 and 1081 stuff. I was like, oh, the confirmations, the sweet stuff of being in the community whenever we all have a theory we can agree on, which is that Kuzan is a part of the Blackbeard Pirates, and we see it happen before us. It's like, there we go, Oda. And I absolutely love that stuff. Obviously, Garp showing up, super, super good. But my two major highlights, man, and these are the two chapters that I downloaded after reading the chapters, the ones that I had like 4-hour streams for, was of course the one we just talked about with Shanks' Divine Departure. And listen, man, that chapter 1085 and 1086 were just dreams coming true as a One Piece fan. I still can't believe they happened. Nefeltari D Vivi, bro. Nefeltari D Vivi. This man Sabo pulled up on Instant Messenger Summon. Not just Instant Messenger Summon. All 5 of the Gorosei, which now we know they're all saints. They all have the most hilarious and hype names, which is so Oda. But we didn't know at the time, obviously. But seeing them there, seeing their blob states, and Cobra delivering such a phenomenal final stretch of dialogue for his character. You know, we share the moniker of D, Nefeltari D, Lily, all that stuff. Going crazy. But seeing Sabo do what Luffy did against the 3 admirals, except he was doing it against all of the 5 members of the Gorosei and Emu. I was like, nah, Sabo is him, man. Like, this guy is him, and I'm so glad that Oda structured that stretch the way he did, because of course, starting us off with the Emu, Lily, Cobra stuff, I don't think any of us expected him to bring up. I mean, we, at least for me, like I thought he would bring up Alabasta and its past and the Void Century, stuff of that nature. Never just how deep the connection between Alabasta and Joy Boy potentially goes, like with Lily, Joy Boy, Emu, and stuff of that nature. Especially with like the pen name, the pen letter that goes down with the Will of D. Leo and Sai was a big highlight for me, because when we look back at Sabaody now, and we remember Law, Kid, Bonnie, Hawkins, all the supernovas, they looked at Luffy like he was insane when he went to go punch Celestial Dragon. Like, yo, this guy is nuts. Does he know what he's doing? And now we have Sai and Leo going in with not a care in the world, talking about this guy. You guys are afraid of this clown? What is an admiral to the king? What is an admiral to my pirate king, man? I was like, that to me was one of the most rawest moments in the stretch. I was like,
I need that Frank Ocean remix of that.
You feel me? Absolutely. Because it's like, bro, these dudes were willing to do something no other captain did at that point in time back in Sabaody, because they were like, we are under the sworn protection of the goat of the verse right now. We don't care. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. But, you know, seeing that, obviously, the most recent chapter was insane with the Emu of the Nerona Dynasty stuff. That spread of Emu finally showing the savage side of Emu, with where we just, Emu was just like, yo, they I think it was I'm trying to remember which one was the one that I still want to call that, but Doopy, he was like, yeah, like why he was just like, oh, is you know, like, who cares? It's right next to us.
Right there, man.
Oh, my bad. Hold on, let me pull it up a little bit. But yeah, Emu was just like, it's close. Like, who cares? Let's just go ahead and do this. Let's try it out. It doesn't matter. And I just thought that was so cool, because it was showing that Emu is not only an savage, as we just talked about. But I just think it's that type of stuff that we need to see from our final antagonists that I really do appreciate. And of course, like we could talk about the whole who is the final antagonist. But to me, the important thing is Blackbeard and Emu are both progressing right now, where we're seeing them obviously going towards something, and obviously Luffy's going to be an obstacle to both of them. And I'm super excited to see. But just with that spread of Emu saying it's close by or it's in close proximity, and then we get the names of all of the Gorosei, these characters that we have nicknamed.
That's one of the most savage things there. Like, why are you going to do this? Because it's close. I want to see it.
I want to see it. I want to see it with my own two eyes and confirm. I want to see it like it was over there in McDonald's. It's crazy. But just seeing, you know, the names of all the 5 elders, it really put into perspective the series' ending. Like, I never thought I'd see the day, because just seeing Garcia Saturn was big for me. But when I saw the others all in this same spread, I was like, nah, man, we're in the end game. We're in the end game. And of course, the Figureland recon reveal there at the end with my boy. I was like, yo, this dude, I don't like. Oda's cooking on such a level right now that I'm scared for him to come back, and he's not going to be nerfed. Like, this is Oda post surgery, coming back, where he was like, you know what? He was probably thinking of 7, 1088, all these chapters. He was like, man, hold on, give me 1 second. Let me get right.
It puts a whole new perspective on. I hope I can draw this well. When he was talking about the end of like, everybody was like, this man was literally talking about his eyes. He wasn't talking about the emotional impact of all of it. He's just like, my eyes are going. Wow. Yeah. Something that I don't see people talking about a lot is, and I brought it up in my review for the last chapter, is like, we now have all the names for the 5 elders, which is insane. Yeah. Right. But they are all in the same position that they were in their introduction, which I believe is 233. And that particular chapter officially released on June 10th of 2002, I think. 2001. 2002. This chapter that gave us their names, June 11th, 2023. 21 years later.
That's crazy.
21 years
I
later.
didn't know that.
Basically the day Oda he's so 4-dimensional with it. I mean, it's sometimes at the detriment of like pacing, but it's reasons like that why I'm expecting either chapter 1103 to be Vivi's return, because that would be 1,000 chapters for that. Or she shows up in September, which was the month that she initially was introduced as well. So it's like, if this is the pattern that Oda is going on, because also a pattern that has been happening as well is a lot of these characters that were popping up on their birthdays. Like we got the Cross Guild chapter, I think it was like Buggy's birthday or something, and then when we saw Blackbeard, it was I might be wrong, but it was like, it was legitimately like we were hitting these things right at the time.
I remember the Shanks birthday one.
The Shanks birthday, yeah. It was like we had that in March, and that was right in line for that. Like, he was doing this on purpose. It's just like, oh, whose birthday? All right, I'll give them this now. So, man, it's just there's so much greatness, so much to get into. Let me hit some chats. Yeah. Brandon King, guy said, shout out Randy, Coach. What will Kong's role be?
Shout out to Brandon King.
At At this point, I don't know. I mean, and like going back to the stretch that we were just talking about, like when you got Current, that was Kong's introduction.
Savage.
We expected him to be something, but maybe he's just retiring, or maybe we won't know until, you know, Akainu is actually a serious threat, and he needs someone to kind of confide in, or something like that.
Yeah, with Kong, it's so weird because with the Marines, I never know, or especially those like the Kongs of the world, because brand new, obviously, I'm like, okay, you see brand new, that's a bounty chapter. With Kong, I never know, because obviously we know his role, we know the things that he potentially could do based on his title. But like you said, until the Marines are like a central focal point where we see multiple of them, and throughout like a general course of chapters, I still think that stuff is probably a little too far out. But I'm excited to see what he potentially could do, but I'm not gonna hold my breath and be like, Kong is gonna show up and do what like Garp did in like chapter 1080, you know, where but I do think Kong is gonna have a pretty nice role. I just don't know what it is, just like you. I have no idea.
Ian, member for 1 month, said Savage Crew, baby. Love to see the coach on the show. We're happy to have the coach here. Ian also said, my 2 favorite One Piece content creators in one show, Peak Stream. Keep up the content, guys. We're in the home stretch to anime peakness with Gear 5. Yeah, it's coming soon.
It's coming soon.
Big Mike,
Can't wait for that.
Big Mike said, do you both remember the chapter episodes you caught up? Mine was not that long ago. It was chapter 989 with Frankie crashing into Big Mom. Great moment.
Oh, dude, that chapter ends. 989 ends with the Strides coming together for the first time in like 3 years, right? That was a special moment. That was a really special moment.
Oh yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite chapters of Onigashima. My chapter that I caught up was at the end of Skypiea. It was when Robin found the poneglyph. That was when I caught up, and then everybody was the Gaia joke that he was back to life, and everybody like thinking that they that they were trying to get at them for stealing the gold, but really they just wanted to give him more gold. The anime at that time was
had to be like Alabasta, right? Or
it was probably at the beginning of Skypiea.
Okay.
They were actually kind of on Oda's heels a little bit, so that's when the pacing got bad. It started to slow out in Skypiea. But yeah, and then Davy Back was my first arc reading.
Yeah. Speaking of Davy Back, actually, before I give an answer, because I talked about that a little bit earlier. Dude, your video on the Piece of Lost Media with Davy Back fight, it opened my eyes, because obviously I've been here for a long time. I've watched all the TV specials, all the OVAs, all the movies. I've seen a whole bunch of them. I think that is like, I seriously do believe this. I think that's the only piece of One Piece media that I have not watched, is that Davy Back special that was that you talked about in your video, because I don't even remember that. Like, that's I remember when the Adventure to Nebulandia stuff was coming out, because obviously I love Davy Back fight, especially in the manga, because the anime is just, they add so many different things within that stretch that it's unnecessary. There's still some good episodes there, but the manga is definitely the way to go for the Davy Back fight. But that special, dude, like when I watched your video on it, I was like, I honestly, not only is this true lost media where no one can find this thing, but I just forgot it exists. Like it's almost like that in of itself got Leloucia'd, where they were like, you know what, we're Leloucia'ing this entire thing, because I was so fascinated by what you were saying in that video.
So I mean, update on that. Well, I mean, first, if you guys aren't familiar, there is video on the channel talking about Lost Media. You know, we've got episode of Nami, episode of East Blue, episode of Sabo, episode of Mary, all of that. Eventually, at some point, a week prior to the release of Neverlandia as a way to remind viewers of who Foxy was and what that whole arc was. The team actually created some new footage and edited together Davy Backfight into a 75 minute special, like episode of East Blue, episode of Nami, and released it only in the Kanto region of Japan. And you needed to have a special like Japanese DVR called the Garapon to reserve the one night only special. So what I've learned a little bit more as I've done some digging and people have been trying to find it and all of that, it seems like if you still have the Garapon and you saved it, there may be a way to rip it, but finding that is just, I mean, that's like finding the One Piece. Like, you really need the poneglyphs to come together to like find out where that device is. But I haven't been able to find the interview, but someone said that someone from Crunchyroll or Funimation was on the One Piece podcast and had talked about that special a few years ago, saying that they were trying to get the rights to it, but the license is locked up because it was part of that like one night deal. So that's one of the reasons why it's lost media now as well. And the Japanese community is not really big on piracy. So it being only broadcast in Japan in a specific region limited the amount of people that would be able to rip it and put it on the internet or want to. So that's why we've never seen this, but I hope that at some point we can get some sort of version of that, because it is, one thing that I really don't like seeing is, so much divisiveness against that arc in the community. And
me too.
Because it is a really fun arc.
I love it, man. I love it. I loved it. Look, listen, this is how much I like this arc. I loved it when I watched it for the first time in the anime, which is, of course, they throw a lot of extra stuff in there. But whenever I've gone back and reread the series since, it is genuinely some of the stuff I look forward to rereading the most. There's so many great, not only just chapters, but moments, dynamics within the crew, where everyone gets an opportunity to interact with each other. They play off the villains in that arc so well. It's just so much fun. It is. It puts a smile on your face. It is such a special arc. And
sometime probably towards the end of this break stretch, I'm finally putting out my cross-skilled Davy Backfight theory video.
Nice. Nice.
I'm working with channel artist Dan DiCarlo, who did our Savage Pirates logo, to not necessarily come up with some panels and things, but to do multiple pieces of artwork for the video, because that's how fun I think it is.
I'm looking forward to that, because we talked about it, of course, in multiple different streams at that point. And I mean, I just think it's such a great idea, dude. Like, I can't wait for it.
Well, I don't have the time to, do like what Artur did with Return to Reverie, but if I did have the time, that would be a lot of fun to just kind of like, work with an artist to kind of create a couple of chapters. But instead, I kind of have designed the video to go through different scenarios. I mean, the video is basically fan fiction, but it's fun.
It's all good. It's all good, dude.
And there's a lot of points in it that really tie into things that could be what it is.
It could be. Yo, now that we're talking about Davy Backfight, because dude, since I've been in the community, I've spoken to so many people who were caught up during the Water 7 stuff, and I have to ask you, 1-to-1, mano a mano, how in the world was that experience? Because I can tell you that's one of my favorite experiences just ever. And from a binging standpoint, that is a special experience. But from what I've heard, the weekly experience was even more special than that. Where, like, of course, talking to people, they're like, "Man, Kaku's joining." Peak, the straight peak. Oh man, because
peak,
like,
peak, goat raw.
Like, I can't even fathom experiencing that arc. Of all the arcs, that's the one that I wouldn't be able to handle weekly. That would have been insane.
So
that would have been
insane. Some of the channel members, they came to me and they basically asked me, shout out to Barry and Dizza and Emil and those guys. We were talking for a bit, and they asked if I could have a chapter that I wish I reacted to on stream with the community, completely unspoiled. And I said, CP9 reveal.
Oof.
Out of anything
Absolutely.
in the entire story, CP9 reveal, because to this day I'm still shook by that.
It was crazy, man.
And there was no YouTube community at the time, so it wasn't like, hey, we're gonna go watch this video, someone's talking about it and everything. We just had Arlong Park, really, and like IRC channels and like AOL Instant Messenger with certain people from like Arlong Park or anything like that. Like that was it, right? And from Skypiea up to about the beginning of Water 7, I read the spoilers. And it was kind of because that was just the way things were. Things came out and it was like you would, for a while, because the scans took longer and things like that, it was, you basically would just get the text sheet. And Steven, the guy who actually does the translations for the Viz, he had a website called Steven's Translations, something like that. So you would, it was actually a time period where most of the time you had the raw, and then you were reading Steven's translation for free because he wasn't working for Viz or anything. Like, he was just a fan. And you just had that side by side, and you're just kind of matching the raw to the lines, kind of going by it. And I can't remember if that was the case with this or if it was a scan or anything, but I mean, there was no way to have official stuff back then either. But it was just, when I got to that panel, after all of the conversations on Arlong Park of like who the next crew member is going to be,
right?
How much everybody loves Kaku, like everybody loved Kaku. Every week it was just like, yo, this Kaku dude, like, I know he's got a long nose just like Usopp, but like he might, maybe he's the guy, No, Paulie's the guy. I don't know. I kind of like this Lucci dude, and it's just like, what about Lulu? Like people, characters like you don't even really think about or comprehend. Like, they were part of the weekly like actual conversation. It's like, wait, what if it's Tileston? Like, I don't know. Like, there's just like, who's it gonna be? And then you'd have the few people in the community that's like, but what if it's Frankie? And it's just, but the majority of people really were, up until we actually got a flashback for Frankie, I would say if you took a poll, it was Paulie above Frankie.
Well, man, yeah.
And and there were a lot of Frankie fans, but we thought initially like, nah, this dude's a bad guy. And it was, that's right, Barry answered. It was her, Dizza, and Vern. That's right. And when I got to that panel, the betrayal, the Kaku betrayal, I didn't care about.
Betrayal.
Like, Lucci was like, oh, wow, but the Kaku betrayal, and then the dude from the bar?
They're a Bluno from the bar. One of the oldest jokes. That's one of the oldest jokes in our community.
I saw Khalifa coming a mile away.
Yeah.
Like, that one, that was the least surprising of all. Because I was just like, oh, like, if it's gonna be a twist or whatever, yeah, it's totally, his receptionist, his assistant, like,
right.
Kaku being a bad guy, it's like one of the most underrated twists, because it's so hard, I feel, for people to come into the story now and not know that Lucci is like a big villain in the story,
right?
Or like CP9, because there's fan art, there's this, whatever.
Yeah.
And also, one of the most underrated twists in the story as well, which I wish I could have reacted to, but I wasn't even current at this particular time. I still feel one of the best twists in the story, completely underrated, is Robin showing up on the Going Merry.
Agreed.
And that is one of the wildest things Oda did.
Yeah.
But you can't be a new fan and not realize and not know
that's Robin.
That Robin is a Straw Hat. So that's one of the crazy things. I hope like the live action will be able to kind of withhold that from some people, and it'll be a surprise, when that eventually happens. But Gear Second,
man,
bro, like I would say Gear Second on forums was more hype than Gear Fourth with YouTube.
Ooh, and that was hype. Gear 4 on YouTube was hype. I remember.
But Gear 5, and we talked about it because we had our collab with Brago. Gear 5 was the first time I felt like a transformation or something. Like I felt the community moving as much as like Gear Second. Because Gear Second was the first one. It was, Luffy's going Super Saiyan.
Right. Yep.
Like that's what it was. We're finally getting our Super Saiyan. Gear 4th was hype, but most of the community was like, I don't know how I feel about how he looks. Whereas Gear Second was just, this is dope. Like, I'm gonna hit this pose, like, just, I'm gonna hit this pose at school. Like,
exactly. Dude, that's still first poster. I'm never forgetting whenever I showed it to my dad because I was so hyped. I was like, dude, you have, and I just played the whole clip of Luffy going Gear Second, went into the next episode and watch what it does. Like, look at what it does. He just goes in, jet pistol, like, Gear Second for me was, of course, watching it through the anime was so special because, once again, Kaizoku fan subs, first time it goes from green to red, I was like, nah, this is crazy. This is crazy. But when you go to the next episode and you finally figure out why in the opening Luffy's red, because in the opening Brand New World, I'm like, why in the world is Luffy red? Like, he looks very, very, very strange. And then we're getting the context to it, you're like, that's what. And it's stuff like that. Same thing with like Robin, right? Whenever you're watching opening 3, Hikarie, and you see Miss All Sunday there, you're like, what is going on?
Oh yeah.
And it's like, oh, she's joining.
I remember I was watching it for the first time with Chrissy. Like giving her the experience and everything. It was part of the process. Like, hey, we're watching the opening. Like that's we're getting into it. But then the third opening came, and she's just like, "Why do you keep skipping it?" I was like, "Nah, there's a spoiler. I don't want you to see."
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, now that we're talking about Water 7, one of my favorite memories is when they finally dubbed Water 7, because of course, the last episode they dubbed for years was 167 with in Skypia. And I'll never forget when they announced One Piece coming to Tsunami on Adult Swim, and I was like, no way, we're finally gonna get this stuff. And then they announced, yeah, we're gonna start dubbing again, and we got to Davy Back fight. And I'll never forget hearing Kuzan starting Water 7, seeing all that stuff, but in English. I was like, I can't believe this. Annie's lobby in English. I was like, this stuff is actually getting dubbed. Like, I couldn't so long. Like I said, the dub stopped at Skypia, and I have a few friends that are like dub only for. But when that happened, I was like, no, now I'm comfortable recommending this to everyone, because Water 7, that's for everyone. I mean, like, anyone can see the peak in that. So I was like, nah, now we're cooking. But I remember just seeing that at Walmart
let's get that
one
live
time.
action to Water 7.
Yes, please. We're going to Venice, baby. Water 7.
Yeah, bro. Nah, that was a time, man. That was a time. Diable Jambe, I remember, was a big thing. As a huge Sanji fan, I was just like, let's go.
Oh, dude, is Sanji in that arc in the entirety of Water 7 in his lobby is just peak, just straight up peak, man. He's in peak form.
Maybe not necessarily against Khalifa, but yeah.
Right. Right. Everything else besides that. Everything else besides that. Oda had to bring him down a notch.
Yeah,
like,
he had us in the first half, not gonna lie.
Right.
The C train. See, like that was also one of the big, like, as somebody who was just waiting for Sanji to just kick it up. Like, I was eating every week of C Train, and then Soge King.
Oh,
bro, and then Soge King when it got animated.
Greatest. Still one of my favorite soundtracks just in the whole series. That Soge King soundtrack. It's so good.
Yeah, Sogeking no Shimade.
Do not stay.
Yeah, man. That's one of the, that might, I don't know, man. That one it's definitely top 3, but it might, I mean, it might be just recency bias just talking about it right here, but I mean, it might even be top 1 things Toei like did that is just like outside of the canon. Like it's so iconic.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Like that Sogeking thing is, I can't imagine somebody going through the story and not having that song. You know, it's so iconic to it at this point.
Yeah, it's like anybody in here, like if you get somebody that's like catching up or anything like that and they get to Sogeking, like you better be sending them the YouTube video. If they're not watching the anime and they're just reading the manga, you better be sending them the video of that song so that they understand the legend of Sogeking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's not just wearing a mask. He is the legend.
That's right.
Yeah. Let's see. And then Barnacle Boy 127 said movies and filler included. What is the best Nami fit and why is it Stampede?
I still think it's Zoe.
Zoe's a good fit. I honestly, I might have to give it to the shirt and tie in Water 7.
Oh, that was a great one. Yeah, that's a great one.
That's
a great one.
Yeah.
Shirt and tie is really good. Zoe and Whole Cake, both fantastic fits. Trying to think about like TV specials and movies. Everybody's Film Z fit is fire.
Yeah, well, they had the Armani sponsorship.
Yeah. Right. I still remember when they announced that movie and they're like, yeah, Avril Lavigne's gonna do a song for this. I was like, who? Avril Lavigne is doing the song for a One Piece movie? I was like, oh, this is crazy.
Let me find out.
Yeah, let me find out.
Yeah. Let's see here. Shout out to Dawn Knight 1993 said Recon had one of the best One Piece live action trailer reactions. We talked about that. I said that as well. He said you earned a sub. Hashtag Savage Pirates.
I appreciate that.
Make sure that you are subscribing to the boy Recon. Like the stream as well. Yeah. So I could sit in the past all day, but let's talk about the future.
Let's get it.
All right. So we were treated to a narration box. Narrator Sama decided to show up and speak to us, tell us that the Egghead incident is something of grand design. Now we stepped away from that. That was the whole point of Narrator Sama. He showed up.
That's right.
To allow us to hit these pieces and points because they will be reflective of what is to come. Key figures in these chapters that we have seen may even be part of this incident. And Oda needed to catch up so that it didn't seem like they were coming out of nowhere when they do arrive.
Right.
Now, we've culminated to a point where we found out what happened at the Reverie. We're done. We're caught up. It's not much needs to go back. We know that Garp showed up, saved Shirahoshi, took her down. That's 956. We don't need to see the interaction that happened before that. I'm fine with it. But chances are we haven't been with the crew for months. Got to get back to Egghead. See what the incident is. Who's with Blackbeard? I mean, well, I don't think Blackbeard's actually there, but which members of Blackbeard's crew are on the way to Egghead? What do they want there? I have my own ideas. What characters need to interact with each other to give us a satisfying conclusion to this arc? We got hundreds of Marine ships on their way. They were testing the Mother Flame, whatever you want to go with. I think it's Mother Flame. They were testing it because they may, which is a hint, have to use it on Egghead.
You're right.
So
You're right.
There's a lot. 1087 though. I think it's only right that we see our boys, we see our crew.
Agreed.
We come back.
Agreed.
What do you want to see from the rest of the arc, man?
Dude, like there's just so much, like so much, and I'm so glad that you brought up for the context, because I've been saying the same thing, that the main reason why Oda cut away is, like you said, to catch us up, because one of these things, if not all of them, are going to be extremely important, either within the arc or post Egghead, and he wasn't going to have another opportunity to cut to it otherwise. So what I'm really excited for whenever we get back to Egghead, which I also do believe is next chapter, is obviously, well, everything that's going on right now, all the mysteries that haven't been wrapped up yet, all of the battles that still need to be wrapped up. But man, let me tell you something. After seeing what the Gorosei just recently did against Sabo, that guy in chapter 1075 has got to be Garcia Saturn. So let me tell you, if we're about to see, when we cut back, I don't know if it'll be immediately, but if we cut back and we have that interaction that I've been waiting for in Luffy and Garcia Saturn, it's over. I might declare this arc the GOAT, because let me tell you, that is like, obviously we've talked about it multiple different times. We've been excited for such a possibility. But after getting his name, after seeing the Gorosei, we've seen the Gorosei more times this year than we've seen the Straw Hats. I'm not even joking. This is their time. So Garcia Saturn and Kizaru both are about to show out. Super excited to see what an admiral can do with no limits, no restrictions. I think that'll be really exciting. But Garcia Saturn is the one that I'm most interested in, because the interaction between him and Luffy, and or him and Robin, or him and anybody that's there, is going to be so key, because this guy obviously is one of the highest authorities in the world. He holds a lot of knowledge, holds a lot of information. Luffy going Gear 5 against Garcia Saturn, not even outside of the battles and hype and all that stuff, just from a storytelling standpoint of making us want to turn the page. You want to talk about a page turner? The moment he sees Nika and we get Garcia Saturn reflecting on the past, or on, because we're going to get one or two reactions from Saturn. Either he's going to be like, oh, this is what you really look like, Nika, Joy Boy. Or he's going to be like, oh man, it's been 800 years, my brother was good, right? Like, we're going to have one of the two reactions. And so when we get that, based on that, maybe if Robin's there too, that could be our biggest hints to the Void Century coming out of this. But at the same time, if you're right, and the Mother Frame comes down on Egghead, then there is a good possibility Punk Records gets destroyed. And if Punk Records gets destroyed, I wonder what that does to the island. That's a lot of knowledge and information that's in there. That, where does it go if it has no source, right? Like, is it just going to go into people's heads? Is it going to be lost to everyone? Is that the reason why they're like, you know what, we've got to head there and destroy that thing before potentially, before certain things are revealed, from either the God Valley incident, from the Void Century, from whatever the case may be? There's a lot of things here that, now that we have more context to God Valley, with Figureland, Recon, and everything that happened there at the end of that chapter, and seeing another character who was at God Valley, now I'm interested in the God Valley incident more than ever, because Oda, coming off of that narration, where narrator Sama came in to head us into the transition outside the world, we are now expecting one of the biggest incidents, if not the biggest, in the history of the verse to take place here on Egghead. And I feel like to understand that, we're going to need the context of potentially the God Valley stuff, which could come with the Kuma flashback that is inevitably coming. I'm still not sure if they're going to be together or if the God Valley stuff will be saving still for a little down the line. But I'm interested on seeing how this Egghead incident is received by everyone, because obviously the God Valley incident is only known by a select few people. This is something that apparently is going to be so huge, it's not going to escape. Like, everyone's going to know about what takes place on Egghead. From not just the stuff happening here, but outside the world too. It's a combination of, okay, when the people wake up tomorrow morning, they're going to know Big News Morgans has Vivi next to him. And we are, when Vivi starts cutting a promo on Emu and the way that this world has been run up until this point, coming off of Cobra's death, and she's like, let me tell y'all something, this is mine now. Emu, it's you and me now, baby. It's you and me. Surprise, you can't shut me up. I've got Big Bird here who doesn't care. He's like, yo, he just wants a good news story. If I'm about to break this news to the world, who better than Nefeltari D. Vivi to do that, right? And I know that as a fellow Vivi Tard, we want nothing better than for our girl to shine. But I honestly do feel like all those different things are going to lead to Egghead incident, right? Like Shanks having one-shotted Kid, Blackbeard having taken out Law, Vivi about to reveal the truth to everyone. Whatever is going to happen here, whether the Straw Hats, I mean, I believe they're going to win and or escape, right? But whatever happens here, it's like all of that is so exciting that Oda in his mind, no wonder he gave us all this stuff. He's just getting started. He's like, yo, Shanks just one-shotted Kid. I just revealed that Vivi's a D, Emu, all this stuff. Compared to what's coming, Luffy versus a member of the Gorosei potentially, Seraphim units still against our Straw Hats. We're gonna have 100 battleships pulling up to Egghead. Who's gonna stop that? Like, we don't know if it's gonna be Cross-Guild popping in or the Revolutionary Army popping in. It's like so many different things are about to set us off for the final saga here that I can't even imagine what's in store. Will Vegapunk die before heading off with us to the next island? Are we even going to Elbaf next? Like, do we shoot off to the moon and then come back down? Like, I have no idea. But to me, like, on all of that, because I'm such a Gear 5 tard, I just want that Luffy Emperor status, because every Emperor has gotten their shine. We got Shanks, beautiful stuff. Blackbeard, beautiful stuff. Buggy, best character moment. The one Emperor left is my king. So when we cut back to Egghead, oh man. You want to talk about a masterclass in cooking Emperor? I can't wait to see what Luffy's about to do. Whether he punches this man or not, I don't care. Coming off of Egghead, people are gonna know that brother's an Emperor. And that is something I cannot wait to see, not just from him, but from the rest of the crew too. When Kizaru was about to pull up, and Zoro and Sanji are like, oh, Kizaru's here, cool. Like, a sweat? Who's breaking a sweat? Dude, this man Sanji just took a punch to the face from Seraphim Jinbe, the S-Shark, and was like, I'm chilling. I'm him. Zoro was fighting S-Hawk, and he's like, yo, we're ready. We are here. We are among the top tiers in the verse, and we are ready for battle. So let the 100 battleships come up. Let Garcia Saturn pull up. Let Kizaru pull up. Because now it's the Straw Hats time to shine. And I cannot wait. Whether they all get their individual or not, I'm not sure. I don't know what's going to happen there. But what I do know is even the Straw Hats who aren't officially even quote-unquote members are about to cook. Because Vivi is about to cook. Law, when we see him again, where he's Mr. I'm a member of Sword and a member of the Straw Hats at the same time, that brother's about to cook here soon too. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see what all of the Straw Hats worldwide, especially like we just talked about Sai and Leo earlier, the Straw Grand Fleet, like the Straw Hats coming out of this incident are gonna have back that it's the intensity is gonna be just. I mean, you want to talk about the Emu in 1086 was go retrieve Vivi at all costs, just get her back. I don't know what that means. I don't know if literally just like Garcia Saturn, they just pull up and like, oh yeah, we got I don't know if they all pull up. I don't know if they send units to go get Vivi. But either way, someone's going to try to shut her up. And they're not going to be successful. So it's all of that stuff. You know, the end of Egghead, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but the end of Egghead might be the best ending in the whole series if it all comes together the way we all think it is. Because it could have the insane character moments from Thriller Bark. It could have the hype from Marineford ending. It could have the emotional moments from... It could have the absolute insanity of Wano's ending all in one arc. And I just can't be more excited for it, bro. Like, I can't, man. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy.
I need all of that. And I need the emotional impact of the archipelago as well. I need the drama. Even if we get a win, we need a loss. Because we need to rally up before we go into the final bit of all of it.
Right.
And I don't... Even though I do see Luffy looking clean, he needs to get knocked down just a peg so that he can get right back up. He's fall down to get back up, because that's the moment. That's the moment. And I think that what the Straw Hats are about to deal with is going to be it's going to be an eye-opening moment for them, because it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think even Shanks and his crew would sweat at 100 battleships and, you know, admirals and all that stuff. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, there's interesting things and there's interesting ways to, you know, think about these things. Like, Saturn is coming in, and Saturn is, as far as the Gorosei are concerned, the furthest planet from the sun. Now, part of the science, you know, Godhead. So he's going to pull up. There's a lot of Sabri parallels that are already happening. We have Kizaru playing a role. We have Kuma playing a role. We have Bonnie playing a role. We have the Celestial Dragons playing roles in the first place. I want an inversion of that Charlos punch, but Saturn, like, takes it. Just like, you know, is that all you got?
Imagine.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so hype.
like that's what I want. Drawn the same way.
Yeah.
Drawn the same way.
Yeah.
But he gets up because he's not a chump.
Right.
Then, as a Vivi stan, like, we have Morgan's. You go back to 1074. He's talking about, like, this is going to be O'Hara all over again.
Mm-hmm.
He missed that scoop, but he's not missing this one. So
Not missing this one.
He told us, I'm sailing this blimp to Egghead. Wapol and Vivi are going to be there. I think they're going to pull up at the end, though. I think that's if things go wrong, that's Luffy's escape.
Ah, gotcha.
Like,
Gotcha.
Vivi, come with me if you want to live. Like, it's just...
Come with me if you want to live.
Yo, how would Garcia Saturn even react to that? Because he's like, oh, like, she's higher priority than you. Like, Emu told me to get you. Told me to get Vivi. So that, an element there. That's interesting. I like that.
Yeah. There's a lot there. And the other thing, too, is like, the plot is demanding. It is stopping so that Luffy, Sabo, and Vivi can be in a room.
Please.
I mean, it has to happen now. Oda has told us in the near future there will be a scene where these three characters are in a room talking about what happened. Yep. And that may be at Egghead. It may be a situation where we're seeing all of this Sabo stuff. We're seeing Dragon and Ivankov talk. We're seeing Dragon talk to Vegapunk, because now the Revolutionary Army is finally going to make their move.
Right.
And it's not necessarily because they need to go see Luffy, but it may be because there's something on Egghead that they need, or maybe that they want to protect Vegapunk.
Vegapunk, yeah.
So if we've got 100 battleships, we need people we need as many people as possible to stop these battleships.
Exactly. Yeah.
And whether we can prevent Egghead from getting Lelouciate or not, like we may win, we may, you know, maybe a thing where we do beat Saturn, we do beat Kizaru.
Yeah.
Which I do hope we actually save Kizaru for the end, because I think we need more, you know, battles in, you know, in the final war.
Agreed.
And I would like, you know, more admirals to go up against, you know, the monster trio and everything. But it's a situation where we can have a win there, but we still lose all of the knowledge and technology that Vegapunk had created, and now it needs to be recreated because he was this close to being able to tell the world what happened.
Great point.
You know, so it's now we got to get to Laugh-Tale. We got to expose the true history, to expose Emu. Vegapunk wants to create the internet, so let's get this internet going, right? Vivi has a new friend in Morgan. She's going to come back to the crew, but she's going to still keep that contact with Morgan's when she finds out the true history at Laugh-Tale with the rest of the crew. Hey, this is the true history.
Yeah.
This is big news. The biggest of news gets sent out to the world. And the person who is tied to someone who is partially responsible for the way that the world currently is, and also responsible for the plan that was put in place to make sure that it can be saved, is someone that is responsible for getting that information out. Calling back to Vivi at the end of Alabasta doing her speech, it's almost as if she's giving a speech to the world, telling them the truth, which is lighting the fire of the revolution that Robin creates by translating it. So,
yeah.
So we got that tag team between two former enemies as well.
Ooh, yes, I love that.
So that's
Miss All Sunday and Vivi coming together. Yeah, that's a great idea, dude. I love that.
Yeah, that's how
that'd be especially with the parallel to you know, giving the speech. I think that would be such a cool way to go about it, because obviously everybody's gonna listen. Vivi's still quote unquote missing in the newspaper. So once she pops up, everybody's gonna be all ears. Like, oh, Vivi's here? She's up? Like, what is she gonna say?
People are like, oh no, she...
Give me 1 second. I have to take a phone call. Give me 1 second.
Yep. Let's see here. Rapo said, Randy, you have the sickest intro in the One Piece community. Capitalized unity. Appreciate that. Ronnie Williams shouting out D-Energy, bruh. Recon had to take a quick call, so just talking to the chat here. Shout out to Vasil Vlad Ivanovici, who said, in the past I speculated that Kizaru's awakening can steal the light from around. Imagine if darkness is the domain in which the Gorosei thrive. This, I believe, will make Saturn a living nightmare. So it's more of like a tag team between Kizaru and Saturn. Dark and light. Maybe. I mean, I think that whatever Saturn's fruit is going to be, it's going to be some sort of mythological zone. So
yeah,
he'll have some ability that may represent or be similar to another fruit. You know, in the same way that Yamato has a mythical zone, but also has the properties of ice. You know, like Kuzan. So many of the Gorosei will, you know, they may have fire abilities, they may have all types of elements, even though they're zones. And then Vasil also said, imagine if near the end of the Egghead arc, Vivi broadcasts to the whole world via Punk Records, and it begins with, this is Nefertari D. Vivi, Queen of Alabasta and member of the Straw Hat crew.
Panel of the year. Panel of the year right there. Oh, man. Nefertari D. Vivi, Queen of Alabasta, and a member of the Straw Hat crew.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Need that. The level of ascension is unparalleled. Transcendence. Talked about it a lot. I don't think I'll spend too much time on it, but I do want Smoker to play a big role in this arc. Especially considering that Tashiki is not with him. So I think the implication is that Smoker's coming to Egghead, and I think that lines up with how tied to Vegapunk he's been since the post-time skip. I think that this is the arc where Smoker can really choose which side he's on for all of this.
Yes.
We talked about it a little earlier in the stream. You know, we've got the Blackbeard pirates pulling up. They did at one point have Bonnie captured. But there's an even more interesting relationship that I want to deal with and expose in this arc with Bonnie, and that's Zoro and Bonnie.
Oh, okay.
So I want to see Zoro get lost and pull up into that paw room, and know exactly what he's looking at, and be able to have a conversation with Bonnie about Kuma.
Oof.
Something that not many other people on the crew, other than him and probably Brook, could have. And Brook in his soul form is now flying around, so he could also pull up into that paw room.
True. True that.
We have new Seraphims.
Oh, and they look so cool. All three of them. All three of them look super cool. Where do you think they're headed to? Well, obviously it said they were headed to Empty Bluffs Island, but
it seems like they're doing that. But it also it's the timeline seems a little awkward because it's like, are they just going now, or did they already go? Did they already fight and beat these guys? Like, are we gassing Crocodile and Mihawk to that degree? Because I'm okay with it.
Hey, me too. Me too.
But I do want to see what that is. Do these Seraphim pull up to Egghead as well? I don't know. But I just had a recent video out where I talked about what their devil fruits could and should be. Two of them seem pretty obvious because Hancock and Kuma both have the Seraphim versions, both have their actual fruits. So Doflamingo and Moria both having Paramecias if they were able to get their lineage factor, even though I'm still a little iffy on when they got Moria's lineage factor, or Hancock's for that matter, but they should have the Ito Ito and the Kage Kage. But I don't know if you've seen what my vision is for S-Croc, but do you have an idea of what they could be, knowing that Vegapunk cannot do a Logia?
My favorite idea, and this is in mind, this is the one that was presented by chat that night, was the poison claw, man. The poison hook. I was like, dude, giving Crocodile Magellan's ability is the moment I heard that, I was like, I'm sold. I love it. Everybody who pointed that out in chat that day, I was like, yo, that's please. But I'm interested in hearing yours.
So I did talk about that one a little bit. I think that it would be way too overpowered, but it is a fun element if they are going to Empty Bluffs, and Mr. 3, the counter to that fruit, is there, so we gas Mr. 3.
Yes.
But my biggest agenda right now for S-Croc is to have the Horu hormone fruit.
Ooh.
Because then...
That is interesting. Okay.
Because then you have a little bit of context on, the secret between Ivankov and Crocodile.
True that.
Oda has an ability to keep Crocodile as a man, but have the Seraphim be able to change genders. And change other people's genders. So if this Seraphim does pull up to Egghead, it could be a situation like in Punk Hazard, which was also Vegapunk-centric, where, they were switching bodies and things like that. We gender swap a lot of the crew. Many people feel like with the Cross Guild, it's like, it's Luffy versus Buggy, Zoro versus Mihawk, Sanji versus Crocodile. Sanji versus S-Croc, having Ivankov's fruit, his mentor and Nightmare from 3D2Y, Hell Memories, going up against that. them being able to turn into a woman, echoing the fight with Bon Clay, not being able to fight them until S-Croc messes up and actually turns Sanji into a woman, and then he's able to fight.
That's insane. That's insane. I love it.
We saw Law turn into a woman with Doc Q's attack.
Sickness fruit.
Yeah. And Law was able to will himself back into being a man. What if Sanji could do that? What if Sanji already knows how to do that? What if he had to learn that 2 years ago? It's like S-Shark isn't that much of a menace right now for him, clearly.
True that, yeah.
But there's a possibility that S-Croc could be that menace.
Dude, I love that idea. That would connect so many different things. Like I said, back to the community stuff. The community would explode if he had that fruit. If Crocodile had that fruit, like, oh, there it is. There's the confirmation we've been waiting for.
Yep.
Like, oh, that's so good, man. That's so good. I love the parallel to the Bon Clay fight, where Croc just messes up and turns them both into the exact same. Whether they both go, they'll be the same. And Sanji will have no problem with ham on. Love that. I love that idea.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen it, be sure to check out that video.
Someone cooked here.
Go into even more details there. But that's what I'm looking forward to. And I actually don't think we're going to get any other Seraphim. I don't think we're going to
You think we're done?
I think we're done. I don't think we're going to get
Okay.
S-Buggy. I don't think we're going to get S-Law. I think we're going to get S-Weevil. If anything, maybe S-Weevil, only because a Weevil is a bug, so it could be like S-Bug. But Buggy and Law don't really have a animal classification in the traditional sense. All of the original warlords were based on animals, and I think that's what Oda is sticking with, since their classification as Seraphim are S-Animal. So, with that being said, you'd be making up an animal name for them, and I don't think we need to do that. I think just having...
he could go S Clownfish.
That's so intense. That's so many syllables there.
Right.
Oh
yeah,
no,
that's
here
true,
comes
that's
S
true.
Clownfish.
S Clownfish.
But here's the other thing too, right? Is that Buggy's fruit, it depends. Like, I want to know when they got the lineage factor for these guys.
Right.
And it's like, that's what also has me wondering if they actually have Moria's fruit, but they were able to clone him, so they got something somewhere. It's like, I was trying to tie it to the scene at the end of Marineford, where it's like, that's where, they were trying to kill him so that they could, farm him and, and all that and get his fruit. But, maybe that is where they got it, from the blood that was drawn at that particular moment. But, Buggy, they didn't even know he had a fruit when he was in Impel Down. That's how he was able to escape. That's how he randomly ran into Luffy, because he split himself apart in the bars. They put him in level 1. They thought he was such a joke. And from that position, I don't think that they would have sent the needle around to extract. But they could have sent it around. They knew Da's bones. That's when they got it. They had to have gotten his lineage factor for Hawk at that particular time, which goes to show that this Seraphim project is at least 2 years long.
Yeah.
And that means to say that, they could have Mr. Threes, because they knew he had a fruit. He had cuffs on. But they definitely don't have Buggy's fruit. So even if we see a Buggy Seraphim, well, if they have enough of his lineage factor to clone him, then they have his fruit. But I don't know. I just need the logic behind it. I need the logic.
No, I understand. I still feel, if there is one, the S Clown, whatever it's called, will be the strongest one. Like just knowing Oda, that one will be the one where not even in terms of like a power scaling, but in like a comedic sense, where S Buggy just shows up and immediately everyone just attempts to attack it, and like they just can't. Like he just has something extremely OP.
See, but there's also something to the fact that like there's the possibility that Roger sought out Buggy's fruit for a reason. It was on Roger's shit.
Good point.
It's like to the same effect that Luffy's fruit is important. I feel like the gag would be that Oda would eventually make Buggy's fruit important.
Right.
That Buggy's awakening could be something that is so broken, so crazy, and that Oda set it up right at the beginning of the story. It could be a situation where somebody in the Void history had Buggy's fruit and used it to a very like competent degree and did something important. Buggy doesn't realize that like he has to play that role in this part as well.
Yeah.
Aztec device, member for 22 months. Shout out to the loyalty. You're Yonko's only. You'd love to see it. What are your thoughts on the parallels between Laputa Castle in the sky, Laputa Castle in the sky, and One Piece? The mystery energy source, the 700-year void history, ancient kingdom. I have seen people, make the comparisons here.
Absolutely.
But I think it's, those are just prominent pieces of entertainment in Japan, and Oda is, draws from everything.
Right.
Even in
right.
American films.
Yep.
I mean,
yep. Like
Sanji is literally based off of Steve Buscemi in Reservoir Dogs.
Exactly. Yeah. Literally, like and same thing with Frankie's initial design of what was that again? It was I don't remember who it was.
I mean, it's very much like Ace Ventura-esque.
It's Ventura. Thank you. I was trying to remember the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, absolutely, and like you said, Oda is amalgamation to the highest extent, right? We're just taking a whole bunch of different things that he's experienced, whether it be music, culture, games, comics, anything, and he'll put it in there somehow. Maybe even not consciously, maybe just subconsciously. He'll just put it in there because he's experienced so many different things. But definitely, the Castle in the Sky connection is also very prevalent in Legend of Zelda as well. And I know Zelda and One Piece have a few different things too, so it's just definite Castle in the Sky references, whether, like I said, consciously or subconsciously. But like Randy said, Castle in the Sky is so prominent in Japan that it's naturally going to find its way into a lot of work.
Yeah, and you can see that One Piece has been going around so long that it's influencing other work as well.
Yeah. 100%.
It's a constant cycle. Yeah, man. If you could take 2 or 3 characters in Egghead and put them in a room together to see what they would just cook up coming up, anything, people that you think are coming and all of that, like what's that? What's something you really want to see out of this?
Like you mean by like just a scene, just any type of scene?
Yeah, like what's it? One of my favorite things is when Oda switches the pairings up, and it's like it's not necessarily something that we're seeing, and we're getting a lot of that. I mean, we're seeing Luffy and Lucci working together now.
Yeah.
Zoro and Kaku working together now. Impelled Down vibes, even though I don't want Lucci to be redeemed at all. But if we can continue to get more stuff like that, or move these pieces around, like I said, I want Zoro and Bonnie to interact.
Right.
Also consider, because when we met Bonnie, it was her saving Zoro from killing Charlos, right? So I mean, we could get a situation where Zoro saves Bonnie from Saturn.
Right.
You know, so it's like it's the inverted reverse of all of that. So,
Man, if that's the case, one that comes to mind, if the Revolutionary Army shows up, I would love to see Luffy, Smoker, and Dragon. I think that would be a really, really interesting conversation on screen, because then Dragon could like directly ask Smoker where does he stand in all this. Smoker, of course, can talk to Dragon before he heads off to make his biggest decision in the entire series. They can influence each other there. And Luffy, of course, first interaction with Dragon, he probably won't care about that. He'll instead look at Smoker and be like, Smokey, what are you doing here? Whose side? Are you on my side? What's going on? I already fought with Lucci. You know, like we're together in this. I just think that would be such a cool dynamic, especially if Garcia Saturn is in the mix too.
I was just gonna say, so because you put a picture in my head, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Logtown. Luffy on the ground. Smoker about to take him out. Dragon behind him.
Ooh.
Okay. Saturn on the ground. Dragon about to do something. Smoke hand flies in, grabs Dragon's hand.
I love it. I love it.
Because he hasn't made his decision yet.
Right.
Conversation comes about, but it's long enough for Saturn to get away or something. But the context of that shows Smoker that he's on the wrong side of everything.
I love it. I love it. Because once again, another parallel, something else that's taken place before, different context. And like you said, because he's still, you know, we've seen that throughout the arc. Lucci is on the fence, but Smoker has been on the fence the entire series. Yep. So for him to witness something like that's firsthand, I mean, even Wapol, right, like an individual, none of us were expecting to have this type of role. He saw what happened with Emu, and he was like, wait a minute. Like, I know I'm a tyrant, but nothing compared to that guy. Nothing compared to Emu. So that would be so cool, man. Like Smoker coming in, stopping the attack, and then the conversation happens. I love that. I love that. Especially if Garcia Saturn has a moment with him too, with Smoker, because obviously Smoker's been there for a long time, and we have that Dragon, because Dragon talking to either a member of the Gorosei or Emu automatically is going to lead to a lot of great information, a lot of hype, stuff like that. But Smoker would just be such an interesting conversation, because then he could be like, why are y'all doing this? Aren't we supposed to be the good guys here? Like, I feel like Luffy, as a pirate, is who I should actually be supporting in all of this. And then Garcia Saturn leave, because as we saw in 1086, all 5 of the Gorosei felt remorseful about the Lucia stuff, as they have throughout the course of the story, right? Yep. Looking back on Ohara.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're not 100% with it. They still follow orders, but they still feel remorseful about everything. So I wonder how Garcia Saturn would feel about such a thing being said in his direction by someone like Smoker. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, definitely, man. You know, and it's a situation where Vegapunk helped all the kids at Punk Hazard. Smoker helped all the kids at Punk Hazard. Smoker and Vegapunk have had interactions, and Smoker's introduction was him, you know, being kind to a child. So I feel like Smoker needs to find out that the mission is kill Vegapunk, and then that's where he's going to draw his line, because his sense of justice and his right from wrong is Vegapunk is a good person. So that's where he's going to need the justification there. And that's what I think would have Smoker doing things like fighting other Marines to protect Vegapunk.
Right. Yeah. And do you think that's why Kuzan specifically let out that line to give us context, right? Of like, if a member of Sword does something and they're immediately like discarded after that, or meaning they could do whatever they want, and the Marines won't take anything for it. Maybe that's why that throwaway line was there, where they'll attempt afterwards to be like, all right, if Smoker is really gonna go about this, then he's no longer a member of the Marines. Screw this guy, and we're throwing him out of here. But of course, that's not going to happen because, at least I believe that Smoker is going to be one of the people at the end of the series. There's going to be a new generation of the Marines with Kobe and stuff of that nature.
Absolutely.
But they're going to try. Where they're going to be like, nah, if he's really going to disrespect authority like this, similar to what happened in Alabasta, except this time face to face, they're not gonna have any of it. And I think it'd be really interesting to see that if we see, let's just say, we have a bunch of ships and Garcia Saturn is like, Smoker's there and Garcia Saturn, he's like, all right guys, Smoker doesn't want to listen, point your guns at him. And you have a bunch of people like, I don't know, Tashigi, members of into the Marine ships, so like, Smoker, my dog? Right, you want me to point my gun at him? And then everyone immediately, like you said, is exposed to how the WG actually works. And I think that's such an interesting thing that could take place. And it would be in line with everything that's happened so far, with everybody testing where everybody lies in regards to this whole thing.
I had talked about it before, that one of the images in my head is like Egghead is about to get zapped. Everybody's on this like mad dash to get out of there. You've got different vice admirals like that are, chasing after them and all this stuff. The Sunny may be like taking damage. Not everybody's on the Sunny just yet. You got people like Manga and Doberman and Strawberry, like, they're all rushing and everything. Maybe Kizaru and it's just, you have the blimp pulling up and Vivi is there. And then the reason that they get away is just this gigantic smoke screen appears. And it's just like Smoker's finally made his decision and his choice, and he's like, no, they're getting out of here.
That would be peak.
And then it's just like and it could play as either, they capture Smoker, maybe they throw him into Impel Down. Maybe he's part of the Impel Down 2.0 breakout. He's got to work with Doflamingo, which would parallel the scene that he had with Doflamingo. Like, now he has to reluctantly work with him as everybody's like escaping and all this stuff. And Marco's there, and Weevil's there, and all of that. Or it's a big sacrifice. R.I.P. Smoker. Hockey bullets just start going into this gigantic like smoke wall, and it's just that's how they get away. Like, I mean, that's dark, but I mean, there's a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways to play it and make it meaningful. And ways that you get this payoff for 25 years of Smoker's questioning of the government.
Right.
And it's just like, when is he actually going to choose Luffy? It's like, in the early part of the story, everything is about, hey, kid, you're never going to be the Pirate King. You're never going to be the Pirate King. You're never going to be the Pirate King. Like, what it's stupid. Like, yeah, One Piece maybe, I don't even know if it exists, eh? I just went to the Grand Line. I got washed by Mihawk. Blah, blah, blah. You're not going to do it, kid. And then we get to Logtown. Buggy tries to execute Smoker. Luffy smiles. And Smoker has an internal thought, oh, this kid might be able to be Pirate King. I need to devote my life to this kid. He's the only one that believed that he could do it. And he's been looking at it from a negative lens. We flip that. We come to a situation where we're looking at it from a positive lens. Oh, these guys suck. You need to be the Pirate King, and you need to fix this. I'm entrusting this to you now.
Man, that'd be such an awesome moment. And you're absolutely right. For everything you just said, it would be just phenomenal payoff to everything we've gotten so far. Whether it is the sacrificial moment or just him making his decision. Like you said, I love the idea of the smoke screen. Of just, that's how you see, and Luffy's like, what happened with all that smoke? Right? Like, of course, being the oblivious guy that he is. He's like, oh man, where did all this smoke come from that allowed us to get away? And then, I don't know, like Jinbei or something, he's like, Smoker uses his ability. He's like, oh, Smokey did? Oh, that's awesome. So I think
Luffy would want to go back and get Smoker, and it's just like, and then Zoro's pulling him back, like, no, that's not what this is about. And then you have maybe even this moment where Robin reflects on it because it's giving her visions of O'Hara when Aokiji let her leave. You know, and it's just like there's a lot. It's a lot, man.
Yeah. No,
we're
it's a
in
great
for peak
idea.
either way.
Yeah, either way. But you're absolutely right, man. Yeah, now we need that smoke greatness. Facts. True.
Yeah, man. Yeah, let's I think we can start winding down here. We're reaching we already hit the 2.5 hour mark.
Nice.
You know, we could definitely sit here and go for 3-4 hours, I'm sure. But I'd rather just bring it back at some point. Let's see. Aztec Device said, spoil the next few arcs for me. Yeah. How does the next few arcs play out? Dragon finally makes his move. Vivi rejoins. What could be some wild cards? I mean, definitely all of that. We need to get to Elbaf. We need to have that reunion with Saul now, which I love that he's alive. Some people had an issue with it, but I was like, nah, that's the way to do it. If you're gonna bring someone back, make them narratively relevant. Like if he's the keeper of the books and everything, Egghead gets zapped. The only thing that they have left, the only thing that they can do, is to go to him.
Go to Egghead.
So the magnet draws us to that story, and that becomes our reasoning for it. Because it's like, okay, we've learned things about the Void history. Maybe we've learned some things, but in order to even get to Laughtail to understand everything, we have to go there and we need to look at some, you know, there's some MacGuffin that needs to get us there. We deal with what's going on in Egghead, and then from there we go to Laughtail.
No, yeah.
And we have Vivi with us, and Vivi was with us at Little Garden, so she knows Dory and Bragi also. So it's Elmo and Kashi, you know, could tell her some things about Ennie's lobby. It's peak. And if we have one of the Vegapunks, whether it's the Stella or one of the satellites, and then the rest of them die or something, you know, it's like we get the drama of that.
In terms of some wild cards, man, because there's so many, right? This is Oda's playing field. He could do so many things that he wasn't actually, because he just has so many things he could. I definitely do think the same way we're seeing right now with awesome. See, and this happens every single time that for some reason. Let me pull it up a little bit. Sorry about that, but yeah, like for example on Egghead, like we just talked about, all of the incredible little character dynamics we weren't expecting, or even outside of Egghead with Wapple and Vivi, expecting that with Morgan. So I think we're gonna get a lot of that on a larger scale, and I think those are gonna be the really fun wild card. So like one of the wild cards I can think of right now is Rayleigh and Shockey and Hancock and everyone over there. We still have no idea what they're about to do whenever they leave there. What is Crossguild gonna do? The Revs still waiting on what's gonna happen with them. We still have no idea what's gonna happen with the rest of the Emperors. They obviously want the final Poneglyph, the man marked by flames. That's obviously gonna be very key here coming in soon. But even in the midst of all of that,
Lafitte and Devon running amok on Egghead as well.
Right.
Hypnotizing people, changing into people.
Yes. That's gonna actually, now that you bring that up, about Lafitte, and we were talking about earlier, how cool is it that Lafitte is sent on these missions to invade the Marijoa, and is also trusted to go to Yonko, where an emperor is right now, by himself, or with let's just say with Devon, to accomplish the mission. Like Blackbeard has so much trust in Lafitte to get both of those things done, and we're gonna see them cook, like you said. If it really is,
Lafitte is my guy on that crew, bro.
I love Lafitte,
and I need some heat on Lafitte. I need Sanji versus Lafitte.
Let's get it. Feet versus feet.
The sneaky guys The
Yes.
sneaky guys that are trusted
Yep.
to get things done. No, Sanji is gonna wash S-Shark so that he can fight Luffy.
If that's the case, in this 5-week break, I need Oda to watch like every James Bond movie, every spy film ever made, and just have like the craziest spy battle between Sanji and Luffy, where the two of them, like you said, masters of espionage, Metal Gear Solid embodied in both of them. Let them do their thing.
And I need him to also
Let's see it.
take off that whack fit that he's got on, so he's back in a suit.
Yo, please. We need Sue Sanji. Sue Sanji's the best Sanji.
I need suit
Come on.
Sanji against Luffy. I don't need
Yeah.
Hawaiian shirt, hoodie, and short Sanji. Nah, that's not it, bro. That's not it. I was looking at the cover of 106, and I was just like,
Oh yeah.
this is peak, except for Sanji's fit.
Yeah. It looks good on Jinbei though. Jinbei's rocking the Hawaiian shirt.
Well, Jinbei's got the whole Jurassic Park vibe going. He's
Right.
he's 5 seconds away from saying you didn't say the magic word. Like that's it. Let's get Wayne Knight to play live action Jinbei.
Right. For real. But you're right. Like, I just need Sanji to be like this. Takes it off. It was a suit the whole time under this. Please. Or
Please.
we have a device there that can make clothes.
Yeah.
Sanji goes to the device, gets the suit, and that's how we make it happen.
Please. My guy Dak Sake super chatted. He said, "Can't stay
Shout out to
long,
Dak.
but yo, these are my two goats. I'm sure you guys have been cooking this whole time. Whole One Piece community eating right now. Like D stream. Listen to our boy Big Dak."
Shout out to Dak, man. Shout out to Dak.
Oh. Aztec Device said, "So you're saying it's gonna be peak fiction?"
From here on out, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Peak.
Peak. Straight peak. Straight peak.
Yeah.
Like we're still, I mean, of course we're paying off certain things, but we're still in the setup. Like, this is the setup for the final saga, man. Like, it's insane. There's so much still to come. Let me ask you this before we end. In regards to like everything, right? Laugh Tale, finding the One Piece. For you, like on a personal level, obviously you're a well-regarded theorist, an individual that is both on the theory side and on the hype side of things as well. I want to know what is the one thing that you're looking forward to the most? Because there's a lot of things to look forward to, voice entry and meetings between certain characters. If you just had to pick one from here on out, that's going to be like your Santa hat, camera on the ground, Jordan jersey moment. What would you say is that for you here in the final?
Everybody knows as Vivi rejoining.
Okay, gotcha.
But it's the cross kill playing a role too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Buggy getting the laugh tail first. I don't know, like because I'm trying to think of things that aren't the obvious, like just like
Right.
Vivi reuniting. But it's just, as somebody that has been a fan of the series as long as I have been, like
Mhm.
when I was like just starting out being a fan and everything, like the content was stretched out. A lot of people go through the series, some people say, why are you a Vivi fan, and like all of this stuff. Like when I first got into the series, like what was maybe a couple of days of binge watching or reading for some people was years for me. So it was just like this is the character on the crew that's moving the plot. Like this is the character that like I'm gravitating to. Like her and Sanji
Right.
are my goats. Like this is
Mhm.
like I love the crew completely, but it's like I have felt that the crew hasn't necessarily been complete since.
Yeah.
We're still getting all of this peak, but she said, will you still, consider me part of the crew later on? And I have taken that as a promise from Oda.
Right.
And I expect him to deliver.
I think we all do at this point, especially after that 1085 conversation with Cobra, right? Where like the one you talked about earlier with Sabo, Vivi, and Luffy being in the same room together. That's got to be around that time. And I love your idea. She shows up again with Morgans and stuff. So Vivi rejoining, obviously very emotional, but it could very well end up being one of the most like memorable moments in the series for so many different reasons. So many different ones. But that's gonna be really exciting. Like there's just so many things. As a massive Gear 5 fan, I can't wait to see the origins. I want to see the original Joy Boy and see how he was using that fruit. Luffy and Shanks reuniting is the moment I'm looking forward to the most. It just in terms of the stuff that's happening right now. But finding out what Luffy's dream is after 1060, knowing that this man, a character who believes anything is possible, is only limited by his imagination, embodies freedom. I really want to know what his dream is, but not just that. After that, I want to see how that affects, like, once he's King of the Pirates and he's accomplished what he's currently set out to do, I just want to know what his mindset's going to be as he sets off now on his new journey towards accomplishing his dream, like his actual real dream. That to me, as a massive Luffy fan, are the things I look forward to seeing the most. Like Gear 5, more insanity there. The original Gear 5 with Joy Boy and the Boy Sentry, and stuff like that. And Luffy meeting Shanks, obviously. But that his dream just fascinates me. Like you're following the series throughout the whole time. King of the Pirates, King of the Pirates, King of the Pirates. Then Volume 60 drops. You get that incredible reveal of I want to be ... and it just changes everything. So I just want to know, man. Like not only just what it is, but how, like, why everyone reacted the way they did, and Luffy's mentality going towards that dream. Because One Piece, at the end of the day, it really is about, dreams, inherited will, going after certain things. Just like in Giant Skypiea, such a really key part of the story, one of its main central themes. And to see Luffy's true dream, like for him to accomplish being King of the Pirates, and then his true dream, whatever that is, that's something I can't wait to be a part of. And that's going to be one of the greatest moments ever, for sure.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
And while you were saying all of that, completely agree with all of that. Two other things that popped into my head is the Rocky Port incident.
Oh yes,
that is like,
absolutely.
And God Valley,
Yeah.
But I have Rocky Port above God Valley. Like I want to understand this.
Mm-hmm.
Like this thing has been teased,
Yep.
And I've got certain chips down connecting Rocky Port and some of the players in it.
Mm-hmm.
So for agenda,
for agenda,
I need to know
Rocky Port.
I need to know what happened at Rocky Port.
Yeah. No, dude, and like you said, so many things, right? Like Blackbeard after that, Law after that, Kobe after that. There's so much at play.
Yeah,
so much at play.
And we were getting little bits here and there, little tastes.
Little bits. Yeah.
Taste. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm excited to see how all of this Garp and Blackbeard stuff plays out too. I think that's the most immediately exciting thing of everything that's happening outside of the world currently, until it becomes a little more current. Like I love the Cross Guild. That's my favorite faction that has been, it might be in the entire series right now, like that has been brought together, and I'm excited for what they will do, but what they're currently doing isn't moving,
right?
Buggy's speech and all that is emotionally moving and things like that and everything, but they're not making a move yet. They're sitting and talking. Garp is on the move. He's in the middle of action. So it's like, that is what is going to happen here. Because whatever happens there, and especially since it deals so directly with Blackbeard, who is known for moving not only the plot, but actually like the structure of the story. Like whatever Blackbeard does, Luffy ends up reacting to in some way.
Right.
I And Blackbeard doesn't really... His L's turn into W's. Like, it's
Very
just...
well said. Yo, that's literally Blackbeard. Because as a wrestling fan, I've always compared him to Edge. Like, yeah, he's the ultimate opportunist. He always... But what you just said makes perfect sense. He turns his L's into W's every time. Like, every single time. He might have, like, the greatest mindset I've ever seen for, like, a winner. Where it's like, there's never a setback. He's like, you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity, turn it into a positive thing. Like, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Like, man got washed by Magellan, but still got his second strongest crew out of that crew member out of that moment.
Yep. It's incredible. It's incredible. Blackbeard, he's always been one of my favorites. People's Dreams Never End was a speech that really impacted my life, you know? And I feel like Blackbeard, whenever we dive into his whole thing, we're already starting to see the ideology of his crew with stuff like 1081 and how he goes about certain things. But whenever we really start diving into his psyche, the reason why he does the things that he does, that's going to be really, really impactful stuff. Obviously, Emu too, but Blackbeard more so because I've just been so invested in him for so long. Like you said earlier with Vivi, and same thing with me and Vivi, by the way. But with Blackbeard, it's similar where I've always been so attached to this character because of the whole dreams. I love how Oda through Blackbeard's character, and shout out to you once again for being a fellow Bellamy fan, because I feel like Bellamy is one of the most underappreciated characters that's ever been released in One Piece. But look at him. Yo, that's a true goat, right? True goat right there. Such a great character. But you know, everybody that was involved there in the Jaya bar scene means a lot to me from One Piece. They all played their own role, and Bellamy obviously coming back in Dressrosa, it added a lot of weight to that. Now that we had payoff to a lot. But Blackbeard is just, he means so much to me and this series that whenever we start seeing more stuff from, and the more stuff we see from Bellamy, Grand Fleet, because yeah, sorry about that. That's how you know it's almost time to end the stream. That's how you know. It's my computer letting me know. But no, yeah, like I just really appreciate Blackbeard.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah, I just really appreciate Blackbeard, and
I love that you brought up Bellamy, by the way, man, because speaking about wild cards and also moments that would get me hype is Bellamy's return into the story also.
Right.
That would excite me a lot. Bellamy was, one of my like early favorite characters as well, because I saw immediately the potential of the character. And like one of my earliest theories on Arlong Park was like, people were like, oh, Bellamy's dead. I was like, he's not dead, and he's going to come back whenever Doflamingo is the villain. And in some way, he's going to help the Straw Hats, because that's what's being set up here. And it's just like, and I see Bellamy's story in 3 parts. We have the character that is, misguided, and he's the one that you're supposed to hate. He is the anti-Luffy. He is the Luffy without plot armor. He is the Luffy that his Shanks was didn't necessarily inspire him in a proper way or send him in the right direction. Then there's the realization of that happens off screen, but is told to us during Dressrosa, where it's like, I'm not going to laugh at you anymore. Everything that we talked about, everything like that, I went to the Sky Islands. I saw it for my first hand. I now believe in dreams once again, but my pride, won't allow me to leave Doflamingo's side, because he's the person who set me off on this journey in the first place, culminating in, okay, I followed the wrong man completely. Now, my pride won't allow me to say I'm following you, but I'm still taking this Viver card and letting you know that I will be there without saying it. That I will be there no matter what.
Yes. And
Grand Fleet pulls up. When they do, believe that Bellamy will be there because he has
100%.
the Viva card. He will be there.
Mm-hmm.
And he
No matter
will be
what.
one of the most key characters because it's like Oda gave an entire panel dedicated to just Bellamy taking it and leaving. He wasn't in the big spread of all of that, but Oda gave him a panel and put him in the cover pages of the Grand Fleet.
Right.
So he's living his dream. He wanted to be a mangaka. Like, that was his whole thing. But his parents said, hey, you know what? Being an artist, that just isn't going to cut it. So he went and he became a pirate. You know?
Pretty much.
And then now he's like, all right, you know what? I'm going to have my cake and eat it too. I'm an artist, and I'm going to ride for Luffy. This man's going to pull up, and he's going to have the straw hat tattooed on his chest.
That's right. The flags with, like, the dopest art you've ever seen for the straw hats. Just the dopest art.
Right. So, and I think that Bellamy could have one of the most impactful deaths if Oda wanted to go there in the series, if he died for Luffy. If we went into a situation where we could look back at Jaya and look at the evolution of that, look at Dressrosa, and then have this big sacrifice play by Bellamy, he would be one of the most goated characters in anime. Because
100%.
Because he would have that arc, and that's the way I see his character going. Even if he doesn't die, he will do something that will be so monumental and helpful for them that it's going to change people's opinions on him. And I think that that's what Oda has been setting up, and that's why I've always said, like, a Bellamy is Kid but better. Like,
might be true.
Everything that Oda wanted to do with Kid, he had already done with Bellamy, but executed it better and spent more time on it. So that's why I don't need Kid, because I've already got Bellamy. I already have the character that is, like, was shown to us to be a terrible person and then grows into something, redeemable. So yeah, that would excite me, and I think that that's an interesting wild card, going back to the question of wild cards, like seeing how Bellamy plays into a future arc.
Yeah, no, now that you brought that up, NL, I can't wait for him to come back. Now that we're talking about, like, Skypian. But no, I love what you said. I love what you said because, like you said, we still have that missing third act to his character. And
it's tied to something Blackbeard related?
Yes.
That feels right.
It does. And at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff is going to make us look back at Skypiea with and Jaya and those scenes with different contexts and make us appreciate them more. Like Blackbeard not being able to sleep adds more weight to the people's dreams never end. I feel like Bellamy, whenever we get that moment, it's just going to elevate everything that in his initial introduction, where we're going to look at that and be like, this was the guy? This is how much he's changed?
But that's the effect of Luffy.
Exactly.
That's what Luffy does to people. And that's what
why it's perfect.
Messaging is.
Yep.
He took some dude that was literally like the craziest, he's that guy in school that's just making fun of us for reading One Piece type of guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Oda's gonna flip him and turn him into somebody that's like, oh, this guy's a goat, actually. And that's that, But, back in the day, he also gave me, funny that it would later come out to be like Doflamingo's nickname, but he gave me Joker vibes, and I'm a big Batman fan. Back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Ronnie Williams dropped another super chat. Appreciate you, man. He said, Randy and Coach, thank you for peak content. Please peep 3-day trips first vocalized video. I just DM'd you. Please, first of 5 vids. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out off stream, just because I don't want to, derail the conversation here, and I don't have everything set up to show any content currently. But I appreciate you, brother, and we'll talk about it later. And let's see. yeah, dude, like I think we touched on a lot here.
Absolutely. Like, oh man, it's just such an exciting time. And you know, we've been waiting for so many years to get to the final saga. For it to be hitting the way that it is it's insane. He's executing at the highest level right now. He really is. Oda drew up like 35 plays that were his best.
He's in the paint.
He's in the paint. He's in the paint right now. He's prime Shaq, dominating, putting up quadruple doubles. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it is crazy.
I want to see those three-peat Jordan emojis in the chat right now. Yeah, nah, man. Like I'm so excited. I'm glad, you know, we're less than a month away from getting back into One Piece. Oda's operation went well.
Yep.
Most of the stuff that we're going to see for the first couple of weeks will be stuff that he had already drawn prior to the operation. So it's going to take probably like 4 or 5 chapters to see any difference at all in the quality. I also don't expect too much of a difference in quality because we've already been getting quality. But I mean, like, I'm already going to see memes. Like, the first chapter is going to come out and they're going to be like, well, this looks the same. It's like, yeah, well, you know, he's like 3 chapters ahead of us anyway, guys. Like, you know, at least. But the thing is like, in his off time, he's going to be sitting there in those notebooks mapping the story out. And it's like, he can take as many month breaks as he wants as he gets closer to the end. If it's giving us this.
Yes. 100%. Like, you can just feel it throughout the entire course of Egghead. It's like the structure is the strongest it's been in a long time. Where
and that's no disrespect to Wano
at all. I mean, Wano's my favorite arc, I think, and I love it. But there most certainly was that like at certain points, especially in Onigashima, where you could feel it. Like, Oda could have used a month break there to really put stuff together.
There's things that too much time was spent on. There were things that not enough spent. There were things that too much time was spent on, not enough time was spent on, and ultimately, I feel like Oda really just wanted it to be 100 chapters. And if he had mapped it out more precisely, I think we would have had, you know, a far more structured arc. But what we're getting into now is stuff that Oda, even though, you know, like, he has a soft spot for what was going on in Wano, I feel like the stuff that he's getting into now is the stuff that he's been like wanting to draw for 100%. 2 decades. So that's, and you can feel like an almost like reinvigorated passion in what we're getting. So that's the exciting aspect of all of it. And
agreed.
I feel that, you know, no disrespect to the post time skip, but I feel like there's almost a way, you know, and this kind of goes back to where Oda was like, it's okay if you want to start the story here, you know, I'm going to be catching you up and everything. It's almost, no disrespect to the stuff that came before it, but it's almost like you can go from the time skip, turn to Sabaody, and then kind of just jump to Egghead, and it feels like we just continued from where we were with the storylines that were in Thriller Bark and Sabaody. And it's like, it feels like we're just picking up there. And it's like, we don't even need everything else, because so many of the characters that are playing a role here aren't the characters that we just met. They're the characters that we met then.
Yeah.
And Oda went on his 10-year side journey, side story about the Kozuki, about the samurai and everything, and it was fun. It was fun. There was a lot of great moments in it. Obviously, you get Dressrosa, you get Wano, you get Whole Cake. You know, like there's a lot of peak there. But as far as like the overall through line of the narrative, that's what we're finally continuing. Like the true heart of everything. That 5-year journey that Oda set on at the beginning. the true north. The zigging and zagging is done. We're at the part where now we're going in a straight line.
Cooking. Like, I was just like, because you're absolutely right? Like, as someone who loves the post-time skip material, it really does feel like the detours for right now are done. Like, it's straight up, like you said, we're continuing. This is 150% the stuff he's been waiting to draw the entire series. I'm sure he's been waiting to draw the Gear 5 stuff for a long time. Shanks finally doing something. Kuzan Blackbeard plotline. Garp with sword. Buggy getting his moment. Emu, Gorosei, Revolutionary Army, Nefeltari D Cobra / D Vivi. It's like he's had all of this in his mind for. I'm waiting. You know, we're ready now. We're ready, baby.
Yeah, bro. I'm excited, dude. I'm excited. So I think I'm gonna wrap the stream up here because I am getting hungry, but I want to send out a million thanks here to the coach for joining us today, running some plays, and because the scrimmages are over.
Yep, this we're in the playoffs. We are in the playoffs, baby.
Yeah, man. So let people know where to find you. Shout out anything that you want to shout out. I'm definitely excited for what you've got cooking.
Absolutely. Hey.
Yeah.
We'll definitely discuss that. But trust me when I say I'm extremely nervous and excited for what's to come. For what's to come.
Yeah, the baton is getting passed.
Yeah. But nah, man, dude, trust me when I say I have been looking forward to this. It's been a lot of fun finally discussing the series with you one-on-one. So many different things, right? We're both longtime fans, so that's always a good time to reminisce on like old memories and stuff like that. But I just want to thank you for all you've done for my community, the people on over in whenever we do our streams, always giving a shout out to the Savage community. So we have nothing but love for you guys. Absolutely nothing but love. So y'all can find me either King_Recon on YouTube or my Twitter, which is at Yoshida Shoyo. Always talking about video games and One Piece on there.
Both
and
oh yeah, you and Chrissy are both equally excited about Mario RPG, man.
Oh, dude, when that popped up, that was like one of those dreams coming true. And so when I saw Chrissy was extremely excited for it, I was like, you understand. You see the vision.
Not only that, bro, I was sleeping and Chrissy ran in crying and I was like, what is going on? What is going on? What happened? What happened? And then she like showed me the phone and I was just like, what? Like, whoa. Like I thought something was great, but that is her peak. That's her favorite game of all time. And now it's getting a remaster.
Right.
So yeah.
It's been a special year on the video game side of things. It really has. But yeah, man, nothing but love to you, bro. Looking forward to reconnecting soon. Definitely reconnecting soon. Yeah. And when Final Saga Oda comes back to start cooking again, not only just but Gear 5 in the anime, live action in August.
Around the corner.
Right around the corner. So we're gonna be eating as One Piece fans. And I'm looking forward to being a part of that with you.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Someone cooked here.
And shout out to Vasil Vladivanovici, super chat. When Vivi will join the Straw Hats, she will officially be the Pirate Queen. We're on that agenda.
She already is.
She already is. You can go back to Alabasta. It's in the canon. It's in the canon.
That's right. That's right.
It was a dream, but it was a premonition of what was to come.
Exactly.
So drop W's in the chat. Drop those Jordans in the chat. let's thank the coach here. I appreciate you for coming by, man. And
Absolutely.
this was a blast. It was a long time coming, one-on-one. And yeah, but we'll be doing it again soon.
Very soon. Yep. Very soon.
All right. And yeah, just letting those emojis come in, and I'm gonna hit these credits here.
Yeah, nothing but love to the community. Yo. I appreciate y'all.
There they come. There they go. All right. Look at that.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.
So I appreciate everybody for being hours.